606 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane off and running. Let's get rolling, everybody. Patrick Grimion's going to be on board, host of the Patty G Show. We're going to be talking about just how important is this fall for hotels in the Baton Rouge area. That's at 6:35. Got a couple of other stories as well. And then we're going to cover a couple of other topics we're going to cover as well with Patrick Grimion. In the 7 o'clock hour, Dr. Shawn Wilson's got a thing or two to say about the infrastructure deal that's making its way through the congressional process up in Washington, D.C. Namely, let's get him paid. Namely, we need a new bridge. We need to extend I-49. We need to extend I-20. Namely, Lake Charles needs a new bridge. And a few other things. Louisiana's head of Department of Transportation is going to join us at 7:15 to talk about the bipartisan $1.2 trillion infrastructure package. Then at 7:35, it's time for Crimestoppers. Sergeant Don Coppola is going to hop on board for Crimestoppers. Hopefully we can catch a couple bad guys today. In the 8 o'clock hour, let's start answering some vaccine questions. I've got a question that keeps getting emailed to me. That is, why aren't we hearing more talked about when it comes to natural immunity? Like if you've had COVID already and you've got the antibodies, why do you need to get vaccinated at all? I'm going to talk with Dr. Aldo Russo from Oxford about exactly that. Difference between natural immunity, difference between antibodies, and the COVID vaccine. Where are we? Where do we need to be? How many people in the hospital right now are vaccinated versus unvaccinated? We see it every day. 90% of those in the hospital are unvaccinated. Well, of that 90%, how many of them have a level of natural immunity built in because of antibodies? We'll talk about that at 8:15. 8:35, got some audio from yesterday's Ask the Governor show. Governor John Bel Edwards held his monthly call-in show. A lot of lively discussion in yesterday's show about everything from unemployment to not getting the rent paid. But there were a couple of little nuggets to be taken away from that. In fact, Taylor, can we lead off with one of them right now? Because it's one of the more pressing things that folks are concerned about in Baton Rouge heading into the fall. It's going to be cut one. And that is asking the question of, as it stands right now, Delta variant doesn't look like it's getting any better. We haven't reached the end of this fourth surge yet. How can we, in good conscience, take a look at the upcoming football season and say Tiger Stadium will be full? Governor John Bel Edwards says, as of now, it's still all systems go.
Yeah, well, there's good news there, is that it's outside. It's always safer than inside. And, you know, is it as safe as if you actually have enough distance between the two people? No, but there are other things that can be done. So whether or not a mask is mandated, people should wear one when they're going in and out of Tiger Stadium and when they're, you know, sitting in their seats or whatever in close proximity to others. So there are ways to make that experience safe, and you know, I believe that is going to happen in Tiger Stadium and in the Superdome and in other places. And you know, but I do encourage people to always be mindful. If by age or by comorbid health condition you are more vulnerable to this disease, then you need to take extra precautions.
So, on August 18th, yesterday when the show was on August 18th, Governor John Bel Edwards still on board with a full Tiger Stadium, and you did hear that a full Superdome as well, which is important because the Superdome's indoors. I mean, it's got the ventilation system built in to where it might as well be outdoors, but Tiger Stadium, Superdome, other stadiums as well, all systems are go as of right now. Got a lot more from that Ask the Governor show at 8:35 this morning. Plus, we'll have top stories and trending. Plus, we will have the outside in. Plus, Taylor will have this day in history. Do I have a minute here? Yeah, I got a minute here. Saw this story yesterday, and I'm probably not going to touch on it a whole lot today. A lot more tomorrow if we can line up a guest here. Mary Bird Perkins has announced that they're parting ways with Our Lady of the Lake. The headline for Mary Bird Perkins reads, Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center and One Oncology partner to strengthen community cancer care in the Gulf South. Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center, a leading Gulf South cancer care provider for 50 years, and One Oncology, the national platform for independent oncology practices, today announced the organizations have signed a letter of intent to become partners with an agreement to be signed this fall. Once in place, this partnership will expand access for resources for cancer patients unlike any other approach in the region. Mary Bird Perkins is an independent, community-owned, nonprofit organization serving patients throughout southeast Louisiana. It goes on and on and on within the press release. But the story coming out from the Daily Report about it by Stephanie Riegel, her headline reads, Mary Bird Perkins announcement shocks Baton Rouge healthcare community. Well, just how much? We're going to have to dive in that probably tomorrow morning if we can't get to it later on in this show. We are due up for our first break. 612 Talk 107.3 FM. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, set the table for the weekend in NFL preseason. That's coming up next.
Tell you what, I'm excited about a full Superdome.
Yeah?
Yeah, I was worried they weren't going to let Cowboy fans in early December, but now I know I can be in there just like everybody else. So that's good news.
Vaccinated.
Yeah. But I can be in there like everybody else. Oh, well, complete collision.
You got it. Yeah.
I love brewing coffee before the sun comes out. I do it because I'm passionate about being a bright spot in my customer's day. I'm made for this.
It's about more than just fixing the car for me. I'm passionate about making sure my customers and their families are safe on the road. I'm made for this.
We know what it's like to be passionate about what you do. It's how we feel about workers' comp. For over 30 years, we've been protecting businesses and their employees. We're Luba Workers' Comp. We're made for this. Discover the Luba difference at lubawc.com. That's lubawc.com.
Take back control of your retirement. Hi, I'm Gregory Riggs. Join me at Sullivan Steakhouse for wine, wisdom, and food experience. Tuesday, September 21st or Thursday, September 23rd at 6:30. We'll have great food, wine, and talk about strategies to help you win at retirement. Go to gregoryriggs.com to reserve your seat or call the office 225-522-4282.
Morning, Clint. Morning, Renee. Welcome in, y'all.
WBRZ traffic update from Ashley Fouché.
Right now, traffic looking good around town so far, no slowdown. So just a reminder, Airline Highway northbound and Lyman Manchac will have another lane closure today from 9 to about 3. It's going to happen again Friday. And so look out for that. It's on that bridge.
Yeah, I finally got to bed at 11:30 last night. I was wide awake at 1 o'clock. Yeah. Fell back asleep somewhere around 3, just in time for my alarm to go off at 3:30.
Like I woke up and I was like, where's my phone? My alarm didn't go off.
Yeah.
See an accident? Report it at WBRZ Traffic on Twitter. This report is brought to you by Shawbills, where you can get free tire repairs on all household cars when you purchase new tires. It's all part of the Charlie's Dozen, and it's only at Shawbills. Hey, it's Mark McVay and Camp and Robbins. If you ever feel like you've been going crazy, you're not. No, you're not. The rest of the world has just slipped a gear. Join us weeknights at 6 on Talk 107.3, the new flavor of
Oh, I'll start Toyota got free advertising this year.
Yeah.
Forgot to change the back.
Oops.
But when you sit down, the computer's like this tall, and all I could see was red, and the normal background's red.
During this show?
No, during Hunting Hill,
Yeah.
and the
Okay.
normal background's red, and I saw it like halfway through the show, and I was like, oh, shit.
616 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP Sports Time. Time to talk a little NFL football. There is one game on the slate for tonight. Patriots at the Eagles. Kickoff will be 6:30 p.m. on the NFL Network. This is the week when a lot of the fantasy football drafts are happening. Personally, I got another week to go before mine. But with a 3-week preseason, it's going to change the way people are drafting. So I'm guessing tonight or this weekend is the weekend where you start to see the most from starters, start to see the most from the guys that you will be potentially drafting into your league, onto your team. So Patriots and Eagles tonight. Looking ahead to tomorrow night, you got, 2 games on the slate tomorrow. Chiefs at Cardinals, and then Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and the Cincinnati Bengals are at football.
They're at football.
They're at football.
Oh, okay.
They will be in Washington,
Oh, okay.
the D.C. version, to take on the football team. Then, of course, full slate over the weekend, Saturday, and I believe there's 1 or 2 games Sunday. Saints don't play this week until Monday night. Saints are hosting the Jacksonville Jaguars Monday night, so DJ Shark will be back in the Dome. Of course, Monday night game will be on ESPN. You play fantasy football, Taylor?
Absolutely. Last year I was in 4 leagues.
Nice. I'm down to just 1. It's weird only being in 1. But that being said, it is fantasy football time. Time to get cranking with it. I'm fired up for this year. It's any return to normalcy is a good thing. Last year, even though fantasy still played and all that, it was weird the whole time. 618 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. We got the Fox Business Report coming your way in just a minute. Got to take a second to tell you about the folks over at Complete Collision Center. 2 locations, one on Plank Road in Zachary, the other on Perkins at Bluebonnet in Baton Rouge. They do things a little bit differently over at Complete Collision Center. They're making sure that you're taken care of, not necessarily the insurance company. They'll take on the battle with the insurance company all day long. They don't have pre-existing contracts with insurance companies like a lot of body shops do. Think about that. If a body shop has a contract, if they're like you know how Dave Ramsey has his endorsed local providers? Well, if you're a preferred vendor for an insurance company, who's your customer from that body shop standpoint? Is the person owning the car? Is the person who got in the accident your customer? Or is it the insurance company? Complete Collision does not have those contracts. Complete Collision does not work that way. They work for you. Check them out online at CompleteCollision.com, CompleteCollision.com. Oh, by the way, certified by more than a dozen major car manufacturers and the iCar Gold Class certification. Check them out online at CompleteCollision.com. We're getting you to the Fox Business Report in 30 seconds. I have got to get a little more information about this year's NBA Summer League, because Cam Thomas was all over the place, and he is apparently all the hype in the NBA right. Well, not all the hype. Nobody's all the hype, but
Curry's all the hype if you ask ESPN.
well, who's the top picture on ESPN right now on their NBA page? It's Cam Thomas. Gonna have to dive in and learn more. Oh, Fox Business coming your way. Sucks. We're replacing this computer next week. Yeah. I know. Oh, snap.
When was this building built? I'm pretty sure that laptop was in.
It was. It was.
Came with the building.
This building.
When you purchased this building, that laptop was here.
This when this building was the original Baton Rouge General Hospital in the 1930s.
That was at their front desk.
This was the original checking computer.
Yeah.
You got those 3 Bessie cuts.
I do.
Me? Yeah.
Just think, your day just started.
No, I know. I'll be fine in like half an hour. Yesterday was just slammed with show, Enneagram training, Rotary, back to Enneagram, Jay Cody show.
You had to cut up. Ask the governor, we couldn't do it here.
Yeah, couldn't be edited up here because we don't have Adobe and just.
Yeah, I gotta work till 7 tonight.
Awesome.
Yep, jam packed right after the show. Yeah. Edit videos for YouTube.
Yeah.
Noon to 3, I do the show.
Mm-hmm.
4 to 6, I'm doing this for Chuck.
Yeah.
And then 6 to 7, I got Kevin.
Well,
Good news is I may drop 5 pounds. I'm not gonna eat today. Solid news.
yeah, I don't think I'm eating today either.
I was just thinking, I was like, when am I gonna? I was like, I'm not.
I had my Go Slim bar this morning.
There you go.
Shortbread cookie bar, underrated on the list of Go Slim bars.
It's not high enough up on the power ranking.
It's not. It's not.
It's probably the Dome FPI.
It is. Well, the shortbread cookie bar is like the Coastal Carolina of Go Slim bars. You know, it's really good. You know, yeah, it's really good. Every time I have one, I thoroughly enjoy it.
Yeah.
But no matter what, when I go to pick out the bars for the next week, I'm not picking it.
Oh, BRPT. It was supposed to be last segment, but I'm like,
All good.
I don't know why I would do these last segment.
Whew. .623 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Patrick Grimion, host of the Patty G Show, going to be by in just a little while. So Bessie was not able to vote on masks yesterday. Nope, no vote happened. They did have to call the meeting to an early close because of protesters. We'll talk about that in exactly 60 seconds. First, though, let me tell you about the folks over at Baton Rouge Physical Therapy. 6 locations throughout the greater Baton Rouge area. They've been around. They basically introduced Baton Rouge to physical therapy, or introduced physical therapy to Baton Rouge. Whichever way you break it down, they're the ones that made the connection. They're the matchmakers there. When you think physical therapy, what do you think about? Think about recovering from a major injury? They do that a lot. But what about those nagging pains that keep you from being your best you every single day? A little persistent pain. Maybe it's worse in the morning when you first roll out of bed, but kind of sticks with you all day long. Only way through this is to give them a call. Start thinking about physical therapy for that nagging pain that's keeping you from being your best you. Give them a call at 917-9185. Get a complimentary screening. They can let you know very, very quickly how effective physical therapy could be for your nagging pain. Like I said, 6 locations throughout the greater Baton Rouge area. You'll find them in EBR. You'll find them in Ascension. You will find them in Livingston. Get back to being your best you. Be better than your best you. Think physical therapy with brptlake.com. So, as it stands right now, kids at schools have to wear masks. Bessie was going to take a vote on this yesterday to determine whether or not the governor has the authority to have his statewide mask mandate carry over into schools that are within the state that's covered under the statewide mask mandate that the governor has put out. You see how redundant that sounds? Anti-mask protesters shut down yesterday morning's meeting, where Bessie members were expected to make that vote on whether or not they would allow individual school boards to accept or reject the governor's mask mandate. Now, the meeting began in chaos after it became clear many attendees refused to put on a mask, which, by the way, they were in a state building. So the mask mandate does carry over to state buildings. I mean, that seems pretty cut and dry, right? Bessie member Holly Boffey moved to adjourn.
Due to the fact that the audience has ignored the request to wear masks, I move that we adjourn the meeting. I
Eight to 2 is your vote, so the statewide mask mandate holds. If they can't vote to kick it down to individual school districts because of an unruly mob at the meeting, which unruly mob is not really a fair term. I shouldn't say that. That's not right. Because of a number of very vocal people who are not adhering to the rules that are in place for the building that they're currently in, then, I mean, if you can't vote on it, you can't vote on it. If you can't vote on it, then the rules have to remain the way they are if you can't vote to change them. 8 to 2 to shut the meeting down. So as of now, the governor's statewide mask mandate still applies to K-12 schools. Bessie member Ronnie Morris asked the crowd to please cooperate, put on a mask so that the meeting could continue.
The governor's order in effect right now covers this building. We don't have authority to override the governor's veto in relation to what goes on in this building at this time.
Apparently a payphone went off in the middle of that. It's weird. I don't understand the motivation here. Is the motivation to actually affect change, or is the motivation to affect attention, draw attention to yourself, and throw a tantrum? In the state building where the meeting was being held, the mask mandate's already there. If you don't see this coming, if you don't at least play by the rules to get through the meeting to determine the rules, how could you expect anyone to get on board with what you're trying to get done here? If you'd like it kicked down to the individual school districts, which, in all honesty, there's some validity to that. I don't see how an individual school district can override a governor if an individual mayor can't override a governor, but I'm willing to engage the conversation. So Ronnie Morris makes that request, interrupted by a phone call, but makes that request. That request alone provoked outrage from the audience. Before the meeting was adjourned, there were frequent interruptions from audience members, repeating misinformation about standard masks not being effective against COVID transmission.
They are not. It's a piece of thin fabric.
Yeah, these are experimental products that you
Excuse me, ma'am.
Don't care. None of that matters anymore. We're a year and a half into this. These battles have been fought before, and the governor has won every single one of them. These battles have been fought before, especially over masks. We can get to vaccinations in a minute because there's a different story there when it comes to private property, when it comes to a private business, which we talked with Attorney General Jeff Landry about yesterday. But when it comes to the mask mandates, they've carried. Judges have backed up the governor on this one. Did you really think that you'd go to a Bessie meeting while the state's under a mask mandate, stand up and say, it's a bent piece of fabric, and someone's going to be like, oh, my bad. We've all gotten it wrong for the last 18 months. Oh, we all of a sudden see the light because you stood up at a Bessie meeting and shouted us all down. Or did you think they were going to say, this is getting out of hand, all y'all supposed to be wearing masks and you're not. We're just going to shut it down, and the rules are going to remain the rules. Was your plan of attack, was your plan or your motivation here to actually affect change or just to throw a tantrum? And oh, by the way, if this were about anything else under the sun and the roles were reversed, you would have the exact same problem with the people that were standing up protesting within a meeting. By the way, couldn't help but notice on Twitter a picture of the entire audience. Good old Pastor Spell was in the crowd yesterday. Hadn't heard from him in a minute.
He wasn't busy with TMZ?
No, he hadn't garnered any headlines for a while. Had to come out for a minute. All right, 6:31. Patty G's up next.
I was thinking the exact same thing about the phone. I was like, they have the oldest phone in the state, and that.
Hey, Jake, would you run downstairs and open that side door? I got to run upstairs and get like a bang or something. I should have gotten a Red Bull this morning. God, I haven't had a Red Bull in forever. Well,
drink these. I can pick cars off of people when I drink these.
actually, I had a Red Bull last weekend. That's not true. I haven't had a Red Bull since last weekend.
What's up, T-Bub?
What's going on? Hey, tell your old man happy birthday. And Morton Anderson, yeah. Come on in.
What's up, Patrick?
Well, you didn't see the video of Pastor Snell yesterday?
We were just talking about it.
No, I saw you talking. You said you saw his face. Did you see the video?
Oh, yeah.
About his speech?
He gave a speech.
I didn't hear his speech.
Was it good? Good speech.
That was Pastor Snell's speech.
Yeah. That's what I was asking Brian. I was like, he wasn't busy with TMZ. Story behind that is he was supposed to come on this show and he bumped us with TMZ. Yeah. Like way back when all that first started with his church, he was supposed to come on the show, but he said he had to cancel because he was praying with someone, and then 30 minutes later an article pops up and he has an interview with TMZ. I was like, bruh. Yeah, I think that was the excuse, something like that. He was doing something church related, is what they said. They said he was doing something church related, but then his TMZ article popped up like 30 minutes later.
I'm out there for the church.
And you know what the bad part is? Originally, I was on this guy's side. I was. When this first started, but then the more and more I heard him talk, I was like, you're just doing this. You can actually give a shit about it. Because at first, I was like, leave the guy alone, you know, like, he's not hurting anybody. But then he made this big spectacle out of all of it, and I was like, nah.
Well, so he, I think it was during, like, the peak of the pandemic, he sent out a message to remind people to still give tithes to the church.
Oh, yeah. No, I saw that too, and I'm like,
He did like a whole video on the riverfront of downtown.
Yeah.
I was like, don't forget, even though churches are closed, continue giving.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I was.
Sorry, I interrupted.
That's when I decided I was. Because originally I was like, he's just having church, like, leave the guy alone. But then the more he came out and talked, he had this big spectacle about the whole thing. I was like, nah.
If he just held church and
That's
not...
what I was saying. Because originally we were both.
What
talking
about that?
This. We were like, leave the guy alone. He's not hurting anybody. But then.
Right. Then he started
total
hurting
publicity
people,
stunt. And I was like, yeah. No, I was telling him. Remember when he?
Ooh, unicorn
remember when he was
turds.
saying he couldn't come on because he was doing something for the church, and then
Right.
30 minutes later, an interview with TMZ pops up.
No, it was Dr. Phil. It was Dr. Phil. I got
I
trumped
think the
by Dr.
TMZ
Phil.
one was a week later.
Yeah.
Y'all didn't like my little joke?
I mean, I thought it was funny. I wasn't drinking either way, but because after Wednesday's show,
Yeah.
I'll go meet my wife out at my daughter's cross country practice. So while all the kids are running, we'll take off and do a little run/walk. So getting a good 2.5 miles.
Yeah.
Not about to drink before that.
Yeah,
but
I don't blame you. I don't blame
that's
you.
spot on for Chuck P.
Why do you hate it? I got a theory that pretty much all American beer that you can buy, like not craft beer, like any generic beer tastes the same except that one. That one is disgusting.
It's terrible. Absolutely terrible. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they stopped me after coffee one morning and we got to talking. Like, yeah, we're going to guarantee. I was like, oh, here's what you gotta do: bring Chuck an ultra.
Kill the mics for a second. Clinton says, Brian, today's the day. I should be down there after lunch. I will make sure that your mug is at the front desk. That being said, I won't be here by that point. Always hating on her. Tiffy says, excuse me, sir, were you just masturbating on air? Yeah, I was. I wasn't. I was making fun of the masturbators.
Who's this?
That's Marissa. .638. Talk 107.3 FM. Headphones are jacked up. 638.
Good morning, Brian.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
Time for Patrick Grimion, host of the Patty G Show. We welcome him in every single week. We do that right now. What's happening, dude?
Oh, not a whole lot, man. It's Thursday. Got a fun
You're
weekend
right.
ahead planned. It's
You're 100%
Thursday
right.
morning.
It is Thursday. Oh, man. All right. We got a lot of ground to cover today. 3 different stories, 2 of which you know about already.
Going off on the...
Oh, yeah.
Off on the rails.
In fact, you want to start with the one you don't know about yet?
Sure, I'm in. Let's do
I
it.
saw the press release yesterday from the Louisiana Department of Economic Development.
Okay.
Headline reads, Entertainment Workforce Grant awarded to LSU for innovative program in new media production.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, this
See,
is
I
a
knew
good
it.
article.
Like, we're going to walk through
All
this
right,
in real
let's
time.
do it.
A proposed higher education program to improve the competitiveness and productivity of Louisiana's residents in the entertainment industry is the latest recipient of a grant from Louisiana's new Entertainment Development Fund. LSU will receive $1.25 million over 5 years to develop its virtual production and emerging media filmmaking program to be housed at the main campus in Baton Rouge. The program will aid to provide a specialized curriculum focusing on content creation and talent development to promote and support the hiring of Louisiana residents in the state's entertainment industry. The performance-based grant administered by Economic Development will be awarded to LSU in 5 annual installments of $250,000 each to cover instructional equipment as well as faculty and administrative costs. Right off the bat, I'm thinking, number one, this is going to make the film tax credit that much more valuable to those that want to make films here. Because when you talk about content creation and talent development, you're talking about both ends of making a movie. But number two, I'm thinking this is going to broaden the content creation spectrum outside of the film industry by developing an education curriculum within the film industry.
No, that's 100%. If you've got people learning how to develop and create content while still at the university, and they come out of their marketing program not just focusing on how to build a brand, what looks good in a graphic, etc.
Right.
And now you can say, okay, this is the marketing plan we've got from our courses, but also we're going to create a promotional video. We're going to create a TikTok video, an Instagram video, Facebook video for your business based on our skills. And now LSU can use that as projects. At least what I would do if I was in the position at LSU is bring in businesses and start testing this.
Yes.
Start having them come in, businesses, mom and pops who don't have a massive marketing budget, come in, work with the students, get the students their feet wet, able to train, and test out their ideas.
All marketers are storytellers.
Yeah.
This will help tell a story visually in a big, big way. This is going to be the next level of content marketing, the next level of video marketing.
Oh, this is going to be huge.
For social media, yeah.
I wonder how many other universities are doing this right now.
Right now in Louisiana, I don't think any. I think this is that's why the press release came out. There was this is a first for us here in Louisiana.
It's a first, but I mean it's the conversation we've had time and time again.
Oh no, totally.
Of how we need to evolve this way.
It's been walking through the woods blind up until now. It's been fling the pasta at the wall and see what sticks up until now. This puts an educational background behind it, so you can start to harness what has worked in the past and how to replicate that to move into the future.
Yeah, and I think it also shows with your flagship university coming out with a curriculum around these topics, just how important it is today, and how the change of marketing, the change of media has come a long way that now we're going to teach it to the students.
Teach it.
I mean, that's huge to me.
Same.
Because beforehand, it's okay, how can you build an ad, a billboard, this presentation, this slideshow? Now it's okay, how can you create a 15-second video that captures somebody every single second it's on?
And make it look like an actual production.
Yes.
Not
and
just I'm staring into my camera like my little Twitter promos every day. What?
we gotta spice up your Twitter promos.
You know
man.
what? I got to move around some because it's
Yeah.
always got the kitchen wall behind me, and we got that like lime green
Yeah,
in the kitchen.
you need to get like something going on like you got here, like a little backdrop going.
Yeah.
Changing behind you, make it active.
Yeah.
Or use Microsoft Teams and put a digital background behind you and it's animated.
It's a lot of effort for like
I'm
a
just
30-second
saying.
video.
Go to LSU, they'll teach you what to do.
Exactly. Well, it's not up and running yet, but soon.
So wait, so when does it start?
Oh,
What year are they starting? I know they get $250,000 a year.
you asked me to read
for
beyond
it.
the third paragraph.
I know, I'm sorry. I'm just intrigued by this.
I'll tell you what, let's not walk through this in real time.
Yeah. We'll explore it over the break.
I want to say it's late next year that it'll actually be up and running because the beginning of next year is when they first start getting their funding.
And if I'm an athlete, I'm going to take one of those courses.
Oh,
If not all of them.
totally.
I'm going after and learning myself
Yeah.
how to educate and how to produce content on scale.
Yeah, I mean, it's just going to serve you throughout your career as an athlete or any public spokesperson beyond that.
Yeah, because now you're starting to get the lessons that you need to help navigate yourself, and you're not strictly relying on an agent, on a press secretary, etc. You now know what works, and you can create it with your own phone.
Right. When you look at any celebrity that's got that entourage that follows them, the only spots you don't need in an entourage are your own personal levels of expertise. So if you can make this one of your levels of expertise, you don't need a guy for it.
Yeah, and now
Air quoting a guy, by the way. That wasn't sexist.
Right,
It's just,
it's just what they call it.
right.
You know, like Taylor's favorite commercial. Everyone's got a guy these days.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Well, you don't need a video guy after this. All right. Speaking of athletes, football's about to be back on the field. This fall is going to be big for hotels in Baton Rouge. Occupancy has not dropped off like they thought it would because of COVID, but rate has. The competitiveness for the rate has not been there. Football is going to be a game changer for this. Daily Report had a story that you had shared back with me. What are your immediate takeaways on the headline, Baton Rouge hotels banking big on college football and fall business travel?
Is that we're back. Well,
Really?
We're starting to get back. Because last year, that same type of article was saying Baton Rouge business hotels are struggling with the uncertainty of football season.
Mm-hmm.
This year, it's phrased in a more positive light.
Okay.
Saying, hey, football's around the corner. We're expected to have full capacity. We're anticipating that.
Which
So what
we
are
just heard from the governor in the opening segment of the show today. He answered the question I asked the governor yesterday. With the Delta variant being as rampant as it is right now, do you expect college football to go off without a hitch? He says the plan right now, full Tiger Stadium. There might be a mask mandate in Tiger Stadium, but nonetheless, the
Still
plan
full
right
Tiger
now,
Stadium.
yeah.
So that's exciting from a tourism standard. That's exciting from a hotel standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
Being able to get people back in the rooms, back having that tourism dollars is going to be huge, not only for the local economy as a whole, but each individual hotel. And just like you said, the competitiveness of it between each hotel is going to be huge as well. Now they're scrounging and doing what they can to get out there and get people staying in their rooms. They're going to be using some people who know how to create media to push their hotels, to push their rooms, saying, hey, we've got the best LSU experience.
We got to push pause right here. We got to take a break. We'll hit your money now. We'll hit traffic. When we come back, we'll pick up with the business travel aspect of this in just a minute, but also some stories recently about cost of doing business. We'll continue our conversation next. Boy, this is really good.
You didn't like that? That Taylor's favorite commercial?
Is that text I sent you last night?
Yes.
Leaning more on guests on the show.
Mhm.
I share segments of this show regularly with a friend of mine who's a consultant for radio. Has been for years. Just to kind of get some outside feedback from an
Yeah.
outside market. And I sent him one of us from, I don't know, it's a couple weeks ago. He finally got back around to me. And he's like, so my first question was, who is this guy? And then,
Yeah.
so looked him up, pulled up his show. Guy's got a ton of content with a very varied guest list. I didn't hear anything about what he's learning from that to apply to why he should be the person to talk to about business. So his takeaway was, your role is more of a sponge to collect all the information and then redistribute it back out.
Okay.
I'm like, that's legit. It's legit. It's the same thing as like, I don't know crap about meteorology, but I cover hurricanes so often that I kind of learn it.
Yeah,
You know?
you learn
Right.
what's there. No, that makes sense.
I'm not an immunologist, but I've covered COVID for 18 months. So.
Got a new song.
A new song.
Yeah. G thing, like, I can find the clean version, but it just cuts out sometimes.
It does. It does. Yeah, I've been meaning to say something about it because it's.
Yeah, like,
And we all know what the words are that cut out anyway.
Yeah, I got a new one for you.
Okay.
There's the
Air
watch.
fill for 30. I'll be your time.
Download the all-new Talk 107.3 mobile app presented by Gregory Ricks and Associates. You can listen live. You can listen on demand. You can set an alarm to wake up with this show if you want to. Or, if you're a late sleeper, wake up with the Jade and Cody show in the afternoon. Set yourself an alarm to remind you when to go get tacos at Government Taco, for crying out loud. However you want to break it down. The all-new Talk 107.3 mobile app presented by Gregory Ricks and Associates. By the way, we were talking about hotels in the last segment. We're not done with the staycations yet. Go to talk1073.com. Click on the flipper there that has the staycation quiz. Take our staycation quiz to get eligible for a staycation at either the Renaissance or Watermark hotels at talk1073.com.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
Grains and produce will soon be banned by the EPA in a victory for environmentalists and a blow to farmers who use the chemical. The EPA will prohibit use of a
So this flavor is white gummy bear.
beans, corn, strawberries, citrus.
There's a white gummy bear. Oh, I guess it's the clear, like, see-through
Yeah.
one. Yeah. I was like, there's a white.
I think all the flavors are just like sweet.
I think that one's technically like pina colada or something like that.
Okay.
Oh, I can smell it.
Just a little bit of,
I think that's technically right.
I'm drinking this and it says on the side 0 sugar and it tastes that sweet. I'm like, there's got to be something that's going to eat me from the inside.
For sure. There's always something. Where's this quiz?
Talk1073.com.
I'm on it.
You're on the app? You're on the app. Go to the
No, I'm on the
website.
website.
Staycation quiz.
I'm on the website.
Boy, I'll tell you what, we just put it up this week. It better not be screwed up.
Can count on Granger. Granger offers supplies and solutions for every industry.
Like you've got, where's it at?
Maybe it's just not on the mobile. There it is right
Take the
there.
Quiz below.
Staycation.
Okay, so it kept on. It flipped away from me. Got it.
Or just stop by.
Do you need a staycation?
The ones who get it done.
Take the quiz.
I'm Rocky Moselle with StarRegistry.com. Since we were children, we've been told to reach for the stars. It's great advice. Now it's a great gift. Name a star after someone. For $54 to call to 800-282-3333 or visit StarRegistry.com. We will name a star after someone very special to you and send an incredible personalized gift. The new star name will be recorded in book form in the U.S. Copyright Office. Call the Star Registry, 800-282-3333 or visit StarRegistry.com for the highest gift.
All right. All right.
So fly like a cheese. 6:52, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. One more segment to go with Patrick Gremion. Patty G, host of the Patty G Show. Oh, man, we're talking business travel in the last... Actually, we were just talking about hotel stays in the last segment. Let's shift it over to business travel a little bit. It's great to read headlines saying that, LSU football being back in full force would mean more business for hotels. But that's Friday night and Saturday night. What about the other 5 nights of the week? And by the way, I already know Sunday nights don't really count. Well, I used to work in hotels. We could be like an LSU weekend and have a conference the next week.
Yeah.
And you'd be like 93% occupancy on Friday, 100% occupancy on Saturday, 30% occupancy on Sunday, and then it's right back into the swing of things for the next week. So I never really count Sundays. But business travel, conferences, these things are going to take a lot longer to get back on their feet. This article seems to have a little more confidence than I do.
The article does have a little bit more confidence. However, so looking back on the show's guests, on the Patty G Show's guest, when we talk about business travel, we talk about remote offices. They all are operating on the assumption that they're going to keep working remotely and no need to have as much travel as they used to. Mm-hmm. Even marketing firms. Last week we had Taylor Bennett, CEO of Mesh, come on, and he's talking about how they now have quote-unquote remote offices in Austin, Atlanta, Seattle, because someone lives there and is working for the company.
Right.
They're not out there traveling
right.
to go stay at hotels, to go stay for conventions, to go stay for conferences. They're not out there doing it.
Yeah, I mean, the individual travel is going to pick back up a little bit, but those, like you're talking about the conventions and conferences, why, if I'm a CEO or a CFO,
right.
if I'm a CFO and I'm looking at the spreadsheet here, if I'm looking at a P&L statement, why would I pay for everybody to buy airplane tickets and have hotel rooms to go to a super spreader event when we could just as easily do it on Zoom and act like we're having a good time doing it?
And the Zoom conferences had to happen last year.
Yeah.
This year they may not have to.
Right.
But like you said, CFOs are looking at it from a business standpoint and saying, do we really want to spend the money here?
Yeah. It's going to be a minute before they start to realize if you really want your employees engaged, there's a reason conferences and conventions evolved in the first place. Mm-hmm. We'll get back around to it. No, it's true. You get more juice out of it. You get if I'm sitting in a breakout session and I'm watching the speaker go through his PowerPoint slide and I'm taking notes actively, I'm there, I'm engaged, I'm involved. If I am in my dining room watching on Zoom,
it's way different.
I've probably got a replay of last night's NBA action on TV and I'm watching beyond my screen to the screen behind it. I'm acting like I'm wearing pants, but I'm not. I'm wearing pants right now, though. I'm just realizing it's on YouTube. I'm not going to see it.
Right. You can only see the waist down. Yes, but I think they'll be back, but just from my conversations with business owners, it's not at the forefront of their thought.
Right.
They're not thinking, okay, let's get a conference next week. They're not even saying, let's go meet clients next week. They're saying, hey, let's hop on a Zoom call. Hey, let's hop on a conference call. Let's get everybody on board. Let's share screens. Let's roll through graphics during this meeting. But conferences, I just think it's going to take a little bit longer than the article alludes to.
You talk about the we've had David St. Remain, the singer, musician David St. Remain, talking about the Zoom concerts during the pandemic, and he made note of it repeatedly. Diminishing returns. Like everybody was all in for the first one, a little bit less for the second one, and then the drop off continues from there. I mean, you get your diehards, your loyalists, but the overall engagement just continues to dwindle. So it'll be a little bit before we get there. Hey, one other thing I want to talk to you about, and that is a headline from, was this on Google? Or no, this came from the Daily Report, the Business Report as well. This is a Steffi Regal one. All right. Higher gasoline prices forcing Baton Rouge businesses to adjust. The average price per gallon nationwide was $3.18 Monday, according to AAA. That's up from $3.05 in early June. I don't think we're up there in Louisiana. Oh, though Louisiana enjoys some of the lowest gas prices in the country, average price per gallon in the state at $2.38 is well below the national average. Local businesses are feeling the effects and in some cases passing it on to their customers. You talk with a lot of business people on your show.
Yeah.
How big of a concern are gas prices right now?
Gas prices hasn't been a huge conversation, but what comes with higher gas prices has been the conversation. The higher price of everything else.
Okay.
Because, like the article goes on to read, supplies, materials are up because delivery costs are up.
Right.
because of the gas prices.
Okay.
So, for example, we got Rick Patel from Tap 65 on the show this past week, and he was talking about they're building a new construction, mid-tap BR.
Oh, yeah.
They're building a Tap 65 off of Government Street.
What is a Tap 65?
65 beers, 65 wines, 65 bourbons, and a whole lot of other specials.
Why 65?
It's just, listen to the show.
Okay.
He'll tell you about the thought behind it.
All right, we'll do. On Government Street.
Government Street, right next to Bistro Byron's, right in the White Star Market. That's what the other side of Bistro Byron is going to be.
Wait, I thought Bistro Byron's moved out.
What's going into White Star?
Oh, I don't know. I've been seeing some movement.
I thought they got a big sign that says Bistro Byron's right there.
I don't know.
I just drove by there this morning. Maybe my husband.
Well, the sun wasn't up when you drove by. So,
but anyways, the cost is being pushed down to other supplies.
Okay.
From what I've been hearing from other business owners is that they have seen cost rise in other areas.
Mm-hmm.
But in that article, it talks about what the Bugman's doing by giving cash incentives to his employees for finding cheaper gas stations to stop and not wait until the last minute and stop at the closest one.
Oh, cool.
I thought that was incredible.
Yeah.
The fact that you're having your employees say, hey, if you use a gas finder app to find the least expensive on your route, and you stop, even if you're at a quarter of a tank, you stop to fill up because you know you're going to have a $2.30, $2.40 per gallon. Instead of waiting until you get to a larger gas station for $3.10, go ahead and fill up, and hey, here's a little bonus for you. Good job. You saved the company some money.
Wow. The thing, though, is, like, are they really saving enough to make it worth that, though?
I mean, you got a 2 dozen. I think
if you're saving 10 cents a gallon and you're not out of gas, you're saving like $2.
Or is he stopping somewhere for the average of $2.38 instead of stopping somewhere for $3?
Sure.
And now you're saving 60 cents. And if you're in a van that holds 30 gallons,
yeah, I guess it's still the breakdown of it is going to be brutal. But yeah, the trickle down effects of if my restaurant relies on Capital City Produce and their delivery guys are paying more at the pump, it's going to affect me as well. All right, so you already teased what's coming up on the show.
Yes.
So
Rick Patel is coming up on the show this weekend talking mid-tap BR, and Tap 65 is going to be coming on Government Street soon.
Patty G Show, anywhere you get your podcasts, you know where to find it. Patrick, I always appreciate the time, man.
Thank you, Brian.
CBS World News Roundup coming your way now. This was really good.
Better than the
Unicorn turds.
jalapeno strawberry or whatever it was.
Jalapeno strawberry is the worst
Is that
idea.
what it was?
Oh, it's terrible.
I didn't have it. I read the name upstairs
crazy.
and I was like,
well, they've got like 3 empty shelves and then jalapeno
I was about
strawberry.
to say, notice that's the only one that's like left.
Right.
It's like fully stocked.
What's up, Rich? Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
I'm good.
How are you?
Good, good. A couple of things. First off, the governor's got to bring his staff back in the office because he's not keeping his eye on them at home, and they got to be spooning with strangers. I got 9 friends. Not one of them tested positive for COVID. Second thing, how in the shit you want to protect safety? If I'm thinking safety in my community, I'm not going to say his name. I'm not going to justify it. So instead of calling him Little Boosie, I'm going to call him Middle Sushi. How in the hell do you have that asshole on campus?
Wait.
Coach
promoting the vaccines?
Huh?
Yeah.
I'm going to get Manson to babysit my grandkids. Look. Check this out. B, of the top 40 local radio bits, and excuse these young people, they wasn't around when I was better. But of the top 40 local radio bits, local, not networking, not the old Walton and Johnson and that kind of shit, all right?
Right.
This has to be, I'm going with my top 5 coming up.
No.
Got to be. If I nail it, top 5 all the time. Matter of fact,
What's the
in
teaser?
35 years, I
talking
have
about
one
Boosie?
thing in tape. No. Shit, that's everyday shit in this town. But I'm talking, guess what I did?
What?
Coach, and I'm not shitting you. I got up to take a little leak.
Okay.
Came to me. The college football fan base of the 250 of them, FBS, FCS, combined, right? Mm-hmm. If there was a fan base he needed to call to go whip the Taliban's ass, it's us. And I got reasons why.
I believe this.
Coach.
I believe this
and
wholeheartedly.
If you think about it,
Oh, yes!
it would be LSU fans.
As much as I hate to say this,
What?
I think Tide fans can maybe get it done.
I don't.
Coach, wait till you hear my reason. Compared to everybody else, nobody can get it done.
You know why?
Right? You
They're-
won't understand it's parody. He even said, you heard that, Tim? No, I don't think so.
When did I say I don't think so? Wait.
You know what?
You
You
were
gotta
just
realize-
here.
look,
You were right here.
You know what?
I said I agree wholeheartedly. How do you hear? I didn't think
because
so.
you got up and your wife stopped. She didn't stop at home and get your little straw in the pouch last night. Don't bitch at me.
A Capri Sun? So I don't think
check
that
this out. Check this out. Now look.
the punchline coming, and
No,
nobody wants to
no,
let me
but I
finish
mean,
a
sometimes
sentence.
it's about me, not you.
No, I understand that completely. Sometimes?
B, check this out. So, you know, the Little League World Series begins today.
I did not know that.
Yeah, well, that's okay.
I
That's
got a
why I'm
life.
here. That's why I'm in the building. So, look. So, Lafayette takes on South Dakota tomorrow.
Oh?
Or no big deal.
Are you
right?
allowed to call them Lafayette, or they just
but I mean, I
Louisiana?
gotta mention them because we're pretty good over
Yeah.
there. But my point with all this is the difference is there's no international teams this year because of COVID. But we see, you know how many 10 to 12 illegals from South American countries? Shit, we have a team from everyone. They're here. Yo, I'll buy the first glove. I got the catcher's mitt. What you got?
First baseman.
Good. Yeah.
Hey,
Patty G, you have a great
it's
day.
it's not going to be Tide fans to take out the Taliban.
It could be.
No, it can't be. You know why?
Why?
They live in the desert. There's no trees to poison.
I get that. That's a good punch.
That's a good line.
However, let me.
Tide fans don't poison. Come on. He said it
Alabama.
might.
I know, but I mean,
He poisoned the tree at Auburn. The dude from Haldane.
and that whole bit would come down to your boy over in Hammond who just died because he.
Yes.
Oh my God, Brian.
What?
Here's what
I
they
think
would
maybe
do.
you
though.
need to step away. You're getting a little low for this business.
Totally. I completely agree, Rich.
Jake? Hey, Rick,
Tide fans are crazy.
Did you ever
I'm
go
not
to
saying
the-
they could get it done intellectually, but they're crazy enough to where they will have no fear.
Completely.
Crazy enough.
I agree with that.
Building on fire, taking on fire. Oh, they're going in. No problem. No sweat. As long as they got Saban, they're good. That's all they care about.
Rich?
That.
Yeah.
Just sometimes he has the mic turned on, and sometimes he doesn't.
He's the morning show host on Eagle 98.1.
For real?
Yeah.
They've been going so late.
Hey, B, I forgot why I came in here. I need your help.
Oh, no shit?
Hey, I'm looking for, I don't keep it. The last crime series I watched was Columbo.
Okay.
So my point with this, what crime series show that everybody would know that the theme music underneath would make sense? Like a popular
Like a Law and
crime,
Order?
like crime, disorder, crime, whatever.
Blue Bloods is about cops.
Hawaii 5
Oh, no, that's like the 80s.
But
Well, that's back again.
They know the music.
Yeah.
see, what I'm trying to do, and it's not easy because, like, a lot of people in their late 30s, maybe conservatives, right? Because they skew, and you got to start including them. So I can't keep using every time 70s because the average person out there is getting
That's
older.
what I said.
Yeah, Law and Order.
Law and Order.
Would that be good?
Yeah.
Still on. The music director going.
Thank you.
Anytime. Who else is down there?
And they ran into T-Bob. T-Bob was down there.
T-Bob's been on the air for 5 minutes.
Oh, you're right.
We can get free tire repairs on all household cars when you purchase new tires. It's all part of the Charlie's Dozen.
He probably snuck somebody up the back staircase over there.
Right?
See you, man.
Later, bro.
Was that somewhere in the realm of what?
Yes, that was spot on.
I'll have to refresh myself, I guess. before each show on Thursday.
All good. It's where we're headed.
Nice meeting you, man. Nice meeting you. Be good.
Yep. Later, Patrick. .706 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Hour 2 of Mornings with Brian Haldane coming your way right now. Thanks again to Patrick Grimion, host of the Patty G Show, for popping in, talk a little business. The thing about the gas prices is going to stick with me for a little while because the trickle down is just so all-encompassing. Like, there's nothing it's not going to affect moving forward. Coming up this hour, actually in our next segment, Dr. Shawn Wilson. He heads up DOTD in Louisiana. What does the infrastructure package mean for DOTD in Louisiana? And more importantly, what would it mean if it doesn't pass? And I'm going to want to pick his brain a little bit about, do you focus on the $1.2 trillion bipartisan package? Because if you get bogged down with that $3.5 trillion human infrastructure package, you run the risk of losing very tangible dollars for very tangible projects. Excuse me. We will talk about that in our next segment. Also, Crimestoppers, Sergeant Don Capola will be in at 7:35 this morning. Right now, though, we start at the second hour with top stories and trending. Oxner is ready to administer COVID-19 booster shots. By the way, Dr. Aldo Russo from Oxner is going to join us in the 8 o'clock hour. COVID-19 boosters are expected to be rolled out to all by the end of September, but at Oxner Health Center, officials are already on the move. Quote, we started already giving the booster or the third dose for those immunocompromised. This is going to be added to the schedules we already have of newly vaccinated people. The third shot of the vaccine, and now we're going to promote to those who have already been vaccinated to get the third shot. Dr. Russo says there's no charge in the booster shots. It will be the same vaccine from both Pfizer and Moderna, but many say it could be vital. Many healthcare professionals believe if everyone gets their vaccine, then other booster shots might not be needed in the future. Look, it's important to step back and look at other vaccines and boosters to make a comparison here. I mean, it's not like you got to go through your kids have to go through MMR shots every year. They get them, they get the booster, they move on. Oxner plans to administer the third dose to everyone as soon as shipments arrive next month. Here we go again with how the headline is written is how the story is perceived. Headline, roughly 40% of LSU students report being vaccinated. Roughly 40% of LSU students are either partially or fully vaccinated for the coronavirus so far. In a statement Wednesday, LSU said 15,354 students, nearly 50% of the student population, has reported their vaccination status to the university as of yesterday. Among those students, 12,967 said they're either partially or fully vaccinated. Of the students living on campus, the school says 5,147 out of 6,860 reporting so far are partially or fully vaccinated. Now, this is very much true, and that 12,967 number is very much roughly 40% of the student body population. But the thing is, only 50% of the population of the student body has even reported so far. So let's look at the exact same story, but from a different perspective. With half of the student body reporting, nearly 85% are partially or fully vaccinated. The way the story is written outside is looking at the student body as a whole and not counting those who haven't reported yet, so you see the number of 40%. Just of those that have reported, it's 85%. Important to note here, earlier in the week, when about a third of the student body population had reported so far, it was at 83%. Moving from a third of the population to half of the population, the percentage of partially or fully vaccinated has not yet dropped off. So as the numbers continue to roll in leading up to the beginning of school, one would hope the numbers would stay high.
You know, it's interesting how a headline could change a story.
It's crazy, isn't it? Neither one's wrong, by the way. That's the crazier part. A pedestrian was hit by a car and died on Florida Boulevard early Wednesday morning. Baton Rouge police said 35-year-old Barry Pace was crossing the street near South Donmore Avenue around 3 a.m. when he was hit by a Kia Forte. Officers said the driver left. Pace died at the scene. We have more pedestrians killed, I swear. Pulled the story out earlier to read it, and then put it back. Now I got to find it again. Give me a second.
We need the Jeopardy music.
We do. The local healthcare, this is coming from Stephanie Regal at the Business Report. The local healthcare sector is reeling from yesterday's announcement that Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center is ending its affiliation with Our Lady of the Lake Regional Medical Center and partnering with a Nashville-based network of independent oncology practices. They're called One Oncology. Local healthcare executives said their phones have been blowing up with text messages since the announcement. Among the reactions were shock, anger, and excitement. Quote, we are getting great feedback from all circles of the community, says MBPCC spokesperson Jody Connigan, though she confirms one board member who also serves on the OLOL board resigned. Under the terms of the deal, which is expected to be finalized by the end of the year, the 50-year-old Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center will remain an independent, community-owned nonprofit, but will be managed by One Oncology, which will provide back-office functions like IT, HR, and purchasing for the cancer center. Looking to line up somebody from Mary Bird Perkins tomorrow on the show to get a little more detail on this. A meeting where the state board that governs schools was set to discuss masking requirements on campus was cut short yesterday after a crowd of maskless parents refused to leave the council chambers. The crowd was gathered inside. They also refused to put on masks. The crowd was gathered inside the meeting room of the Bessie board, where board members gathered around 9 a.m. Wednesday to discuss whether they have the authority to regulate face coverings in schools. Board members explained to the audience that while they were discussing what the board had to regulate masks in schools, the current statewide mask mandate did apply to state buildings, and that means that attendees had to wear face coverings within the board, or within that meeting. Because they refused to comply with the regulations inside of a state building, Bessie called it off, voted 8-2 to go ahead and adjourn the meeting. So the rules as they stood yesterday apply the same way today. That's a look at your top stories. Here's a look at what's trending this morning. The Girl Scouts are expected to roll out a new brownie-inspired cookie.
I'm in. Love Girl Scout
I think
cookies.
this is kind of gross, actually.
Oh.
Well, because, like, you're a brownie before you're a Girl Scout.
Yeah.
So that's gross making cookies out of those girls.
You know what? I didn't even think about that.
According to the news release from the organization, the chocolatey cookies are called Adventurefuls, and they're described as an indulgent brownie-inspired cookie with caramel-flavored cream and a hint of sea salt. I like caramel and sea salt.
Yeah, I'm still
That's
in.
a solid
Don't care what
combination.
it's made of. I'm still in.
But it's made out of, like, girls who haven't gotten old enough to be Girl Scouts yet. I mean, they just poor naming, poor titling across the board.
Yeah, it is.
They need to back up and stop calling the girls brownies and calling them something else.
Yeah, because that's stupid anyway.
Yeah. Guys, you think this is ever going to cross paths here? These girls are called brownies. We sell cookies.
No way.
They're both baked goods. At some point along the way, these streams might cross. Maybe we want to avoid that. That's top stories and trending. Hey, going to talk with Dr. Shawn Wilson in our next segment. Let's talk a little bit about infrastructure. That's coming up in a little bit. First, though, got to tell you about the folks over at Mooyah. If you do not yet have lunch plans, maybe swing on by. They're on Segan Lane, just north of Industriplex, or Bluebonnet at Highland Road. Either location, same great service, same great quality ingredients, same great menu, same great burgers. The Campfire Burger is top-notch, and it's going on all month long. And if you so choose, you can grab yourself a s'mores milkshake as well. Both locations in Mooyah. They cut their vegetables up fresh every day. They bake those potato buns fresh every day. Or if you wanted to go the carb-free route, they've got the iceberg lettuce to wrap up the burger. Both locations, Segan Lane or Bluebonnet. Swing by and grab some Mooyah for lunch today.
You know what sucks?
What?
You're making those brownie cookies. COVID deaths are going to go up.
Telling you.
Yeah. That was the first thing I thought.
What? Oh, yeah.
I'm
Making people into cookies.
I'm for it anyways. Yeah.
Just grind them up.
I'm really-
It's like Hansel and Gretel come to life.
I'm for it anyways.
I still can't decide if I like peanut butter or caramel more with chocolate, but either both.
Caramel.
It depends on where for the peanut butter. If Reese's makes it, I'm in. Anybody else, I clock out immediately.
Yeah, I mean, I don't pick like a little juicy or anything, but yeah.
Well, here's the current conditions on your roadways. No major issues on I-10 right now. Only 7 minutes to LA1. We are starting to see bumper-to-bumper traffic on Highway 73 now. 15 minutes between Airline and Highway 74. Interstate travel remains fine in Ascension. Volume picking up on I-12 and Drive time going up too. 16 minutes range to the 10-12 split. You'll see those pockets of slow traffic around Denham and through the Shenandoah area. Let's check on that live traffic camera together and see what's going on out there. A group of them. You'll notice even though we have a little extra volume on I-12, it really looks pretty good coming in from Denham Springs.
See an accident? Report it at WBRC Traffic on Twitter. Report is brought to you by Shawbells, where you can get free tire repairs on all household cars when you purchase new tires. It's all part of the Charlie's Dozen. It's only at Shawbells.
What? Oh, hey, Jake, can you go downstairs and let Don Capola in? 717 Talk 1073 FM, WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Hour 2 rolling right along. Time to talk a little infrastructure. A man with a serious stake in the infrastructure conversation is our own head of transportation, Dr. Shawn Wilson. Dr. Wilson, welcome back to the show. How are you, sir?
I am well, and good morning to you and your listeners.
Good morning to you as well. Let's dive right in. There's a lot at stake here when it comes to the infrastructure package that is in front of Congress right now. $1.2 trillion bipartisan package has passed the Senate. It has moved on to the House, and now it seems like there's a little bit of contention, a little bit of pushback here.
Well, I will tell you, Brian, I think the pushback isn't so much around the infrastructure bill as much as it is around reconciliation, and that's really not my issue. Mm-hmm. The bipartisan bill is one that really does impact infrastructure and communities all across the state, and it's the biggest investment we've seen since we announced building the interstate over 55 years ago. Louisiana stands to gain over $1 billion more than what we have gotten over the last 5 years, mm-hmm. and we have an opportunity to compete for more dollars above that $1 billion. And so, discretionary pot that we've ever seen, and goodness gracious, we have projects that qualify, I believe, and make a good case if we can provide the match to deliver some of that discretionary project dollar amount that's available to us.
What are some of the top priorities? I mean, we know most of them. I just want to hear you reiterate it. What are some of the top priorities that would come with this money?
Well, clearly, of the $6 billion that we stand to gain as a formula, and that's important to note because that would be guaranteed to Louisiana. Right now, we're getting a little over $4 billion. Mm-hmm. We would be guaranteed $4.8 billion for roads, bridges, safety projects, the regular work that you see us do. And in addition to that, we would get an additional $1 billion for bridge replacement and repairs over the next 5 years. That amounts to an additional $300 to $400 million a year that we can spend on standard infrastructure, roads, bridges, making things safer, managing our light systems, the whole bit. And that, to me, is significant, especially when you add to it the guaranteed money that we're going to be getting from the vehicle sales tax in year 23 and on in perpetuity. In addition to that, I think it's important to note that we've got a lot of regions that have transit systems. Right there in Baton Rouge, you've got CATS. Mm-hmm. You've got RTA in New Orleans. You've got Colton Lafayette. So all of these regional transit systems, they too benefit from infrastructure dollars. They stand to gain $470 million just to those major transit systems. That doesn't come through DOTD. That goes directly to the folks at CATS to continue to do bus rapid transit, to electrify their buses, to make them more fuel efficient, to buy a new fleet. All of those things can be added into the transit dollars they get. Then there's some new stuff in this bill that we have long needed in Louisiana, something like EV charging stations. We're going to spend over $74 million over the next 5 years when this bill passes to develop an electric vehicle charging network. Why is that important? Because other states, people who want to move into this community or who may move into this community are going to have an electric vehicle. They're needing to be guaranteed that I can go from Lafayette to New Orleans and make sure that I can stop even if I don't have a Tesla. We're also going to be working with local governments in terms of what they've spent. You have a lot of things like that in this bill. You've got broadband in this bill. You've got resilience. We will qualify for money based on the number of events that we've had over the last 5 years to be able to dedicate dollars to elevating roads that we know continually go underwater. And then our ports. Our ports stand to gain tremendous amounts of money, as well as the Corps of Engineers for other public works and infrastructure projects along the Mississippi River. So, I mean, all of these are hard infrastructure dollars mm-hmm. that we have been rated D+ on. And so while the initial discussion included lots of things, the bipartisan process, and Governor Edwards said on a call he and I did with NGA, look, the size of this bill, it is important and transformative. The fact that this is really bipartisan is transformative. We're not talking about one or two Republican votes. You're talking about 20 Republican votes in the Senate.
Right.
That's significant. Only one of our senators voted for it. But over in the House, we need this to be a bipartisan bill. And we've got some really capable and qualified folks who've got tough decisions to make. And I would encourage all of our delegation to support this bill. Otherwise, let's not talk about building new infrastructure and fixing things that are broken if, when we have an opportunity to fund it, we choose not to.
Okay, so that brings up a number of questions, though, because anytime you involve the U.S. Congress to get the money that you want for something, something inevitably gets tacked on that people are diametrically opposed to. That being said, and I know a couple of members of Louisiana's delegation have already brought up those concerns. That being said, what's your line of communication like with different members of Congress from Louisiana? How active is your office in lobbying for this bill with our delegation?
Very good question. We are working very closely with the majority of our delegation members. And in full transparency, we have worked very closely with Senator Cassidy, making sure that there are provisions in the bill that benefit Louisiana based on need in our comparison, and that's how all federal bills move. We've also got a really good relationship with Congressman Carter and Congressman Graves. Both sit on transportation. They are key critical votes for us in the House. They've worked with us on policy issues as well as funding issues. And so I had conversations yesterday with Congressman Graves, and we have a really healthy banter, genuinely friends, and, respect the differences and the challenges that each of us have. But we work very well together, and so we talk to them about that. When you read this bill, those concerns that they have, again, as I said at the opening remarks, were around the bipartisan bill tied to reconciliation.
Yeah.
And that's an issue much bigger than infrastructure. I think at the end of the day, I'm not here to debate the reconciliation. I will say that every administration has done this, whether it's tax relief or it's around these issues, and I tend to lend itself to lean toward the administration to say, let the president, who's been duly elected, push his agenda, and if that's the mechanism to do it, so be it. We've dealt with budget reconciliation before when we had a divided America around it.
Oh, but to this level, though, come on.
We've gotten worse.
At the end of the day,
we've gotten worse.
Yeah, we have. And at the end of the day, you're the one that's going to deal. You're the one that's going to deal with the fallout because it's the bank account for your department that is either rewarded or punished because of the outcome of this bill. So it's our roads, it's our bridges.
It is our roads, and I guarantee you, if you tell folks in rural Louisiana, let's continue to fight over issues that really aren't relevant to us in lieu of fixing things that are relevant to us, the cost of not doing this bill is much greater because I see the bridges. I've got a bridge right now in South Louisiana that pilings have virtually disappeared.
Yeah.
And it's going to cost me $2 million in 9 months to close that bridge and rebuild it in place, or it's going to cost me $6 million to start it in 4 years. That's for people to go hunting and fishing and down the bayou.
Right.
What about those places that are needing to move timber and soybean and cotton and corn and other things from rural Louisiana on substandard bridges? That's their livelihood and economy. I think we can debate these issues around how do we support other elements. But at the end of the day, Brian, this is my laughing matter is the federal government subsidizes nearly everything. We subsidize our military 100%. We subsidize aviation and airplanes. We subsidize business. We subsidize farming. I think it's important to invest in ourselves. And what we see in some of this language that we hear out of Washington that's being debated is saying, let's take care of the public sewer systems and water systems, and let's take care of public education and take care of people. Those are things that mean something to people. So let's have that debate. But let's not do it at the expense of a bipartisan infrastructure bill because when we build these bridges and roads, they're going to be here for the next 60 years to allow us to grow our economy as opposed to stopping our economy. We know what congestion does in Louisiana. You know very well what it does in Baton Rouge, and we're taking great strides to fix that. This will accelerate our efforts to do it quicker, to do more of it, and to have a bigger impact that's going to sustain and grow our economy as opposed to stunt our economy.
How hamstrung will your budget be without this bill?
You know, I tell you, we live within our means, and we
Okay.
deliver with what we have.
Mhm.
The hamstring isn't necessarily on the department. The hamstring is I'm going to do fewer roads in terms of overlay. I'm going to build fewer bridges. Less will get done. We are going to deliver 100% of what we get. But $300 million or more per year can mean hundreds of miles of interstate and roadway being overlaid and maintained better. It can mean more bridges being built. It can mean more economic opportunity. It can mean new interchanges. Without that money, it means none of that happens.
Yeah, the list definitely shortens for projects that y'all can tackle.
And remember, we've got a $14.8 billion backlog. With what I'm getting today, the only new money I'm guaranteed is about $150 million. That's going to close a little gap. That's going to do a little bit. I can now leverage more money in these billion-dollar projects.
Mm-hmm.
Gee whiz, it's going to take more than $150 million. I've got a new bridge in Lake Charles I need to rebuild. I would need to take that $150 million and dedicate it, all of it, for the next 10 years to fund just that one project. And guess what? I got a $1 billion project in Lafayette. I got a $5 billion project between Lafayette and New Orleans. I got a $1 billion project in Baton Rouge. I got a $1 billion project in Shreveport. Let's face it, we cannot do it on our own, nor should we expect the state to do it without this federal resource. And here's our once-in-a-generational chance to get it done.
He is Dr. Shawn Wilson. He heads up Department of Transportation in Louisiana. There's a lot riding on it, no pun intended. We appreciate the time, sir.
Thank you, Brian. Take
All
care,
right, we'll
man.
talk to you soon. Thank you. Whew. I mean, you can hear it in his voice. The money that's going to roll in because of this, I mean, we need it. Like, I can look out the window and see the Mississippi River Bridge from here, and I can tell you, there's going to be traffic there. Always. I can look up the traffic camera, see the exact same thing. See, it's at a crawl. Why? We need a new bridge. So, I mean, he talked about $5 billion project from Lafayette to New Orleans. I assume that's the I-49 project. He talked about the Lake Charles Bridge. He talked a little bit about the Mississippi River Bridge. There's a lot that's riding on this. Oh, we didn't even get to the I-14 thing. Maybe next time. All right, we got to take a quick break. Check news, check traffic, check weather. Coming back, catch some bad guys. Crimestoppers is next. What up, Doe? Don, Jake, Don. What's going on, bro? You good? I know, man. I know. We're bumping up to 3 days a week. Zach's so good. He's such a good dude.
Good guy.
Like, and he, I want to get more, like, critical information out of him. Like, he talks about a little bit about what she needs to improve on, but he talks more about, like, how she's progressing. And I want to buy in and be like, yes, I hear you, and I'm fired up that she's progressing that far. But what does it take to get on the team? What does it take to get over that hump? Does she really have a chance to get over that hump? So.
But when would that trial be? Or when?
I don't know. Look, to me.
Well, I mean, you know it's after football, so.
No, it's during. I mean, because it's all girls school, so they can get started whenever they want.
But it should be fine. And I think with Zach, he's such a good guy. He's so smart and talented with what he does.
Oh, I know.
So.
I know. And the thing is, and this is my favorite part. This trumps all of it. She's fired up about playing.
Oh yeah.
She's enriching that love of the game. Whether like.
And buddy, it's when they lose that love and that edge is when.
My junior year of high school, I had a coach basically ruin me on basketball. Basketball was my first love. Before I played baseball, before I played football, fell in love with basketball very early on. It took a long time for me to get back into the game. I hated it. I hated the idea of going to practice. I ended up quitting. My baseball coach got mad at me because we don't want quitters on our team. I'm like, I don't want shit anymore. If you're going to throw me off of this team because of that team, that's how much I dislike being on that team at this point.
Well, I think some kids get burned out, and this. When I was growing up, we didn't have the tournament ball, but I think kids just get burnt.
Yeah, well,
you know, every day and this and not all, but I think a lot of them do have that. I mean, they eat, they sleep, they breathe, whatever sport it is. And
and see, that wasn't like that when I was growing up. I played AAU ball over the summer, and we'd drive across the lake every weekend for a different tournament, and but that was fun. Like, you know, whole gang of dudes in a big, like in the like the little school bus or a big van or whatever, and going across the causeway every weekend to go play it, like, you know, somewhere in New Orleans
that's
East.
Different than going state to state.
Oh yeah,
and you can't be a kid.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's year round. That's worse in baseball than it is in basketball.
Yeah, it's year round.
But I don't know. I ran into a coach who he soured me on the game. Yeah. Let me grab a couple of these comments before we move into this segment. Eric says all the money we used to have for infrastructure went to welfare and social programs since the 50s. I mean, possibly. Yeah. Build out charging stations, but never mind the potholes. I think he's working under both are needed here. Interesting. In the past, we built infrastructure from a property prioritized general fund. Infrastructure spending seems to come from special taxes. Debbie says, let's do more studies. That money will be gone too. Where is all the gas tax? The studies will be streamlined thanks to Senator Cassie's bill. What you got, Rich?
Hey, this is kind of crazy. I just thought of this. All of a sudden, it's great. You know, when I'm watching Joe Biden, doesn't he look like the real life agent Max Headroom? It just doesn't. I mean, it just.
A little bit.
Coach.
I can see that.
How many people out there remember that, Vic?
Max Headroom? Bro, I was like 10, so.
What I remember, I was a youth market director for Coca-Cola. I had all the schools in '85. I got my ass whipped every day because of new Coke.
As you should.
New Coke, Coach. We pulled all the classic Coke out of all these machines and teachers' lounges and locker.
That was the best.
That was brutal. That was brutal. But you remember the old Max Headroom, huh?
I do.
So, but I have some fugitives. If you want to discuss anything else, we can do whatever.
You got anything else going on? I mean,
we can touch on the back to school, whatever.
Okay. Hey, let me do my turns before you hit weather. How many fugitives we got today?
So I just brought a little stack. We can talk all of them. We can talk one or two. Just talk.
Okay. We'll just go till we run out of time then.
That's fine.
Probably leave one or two on the table. I'm sure I'll get in trouble before it's all over with.
Talk with school and I don't know.
Okay.
My Brandy, who assists me when I'm stopping, is out.
Right.
She's getting over the COVID.
Oh, jeez.
And it's just
Actually, we'll start there. Give me 1 second.
not that we're gonna say that.
Do you have your grocery shopping done for the week? You grocery shop by the week, or do you do it day by day? Tell you what, either way, Mathern's can help you out. 2 locations, 3rd Street downtown or the corner of Nicholson and Skip Burtman Drive, right across the street from Tiger Stadium. And here's how they're helping. Here's how they're making this easier for you. Download the Mathern's app. Download the Mathern's app. You can knock out your grocery shopping before you even leave work. Pull in the parking lot, pull into that carry-out spot. They will bring the groceries out to you. You don't have to get out the car. You don't have to turn off your radio. You don't have to turn off your AC. You don't have to put on a mask. They take care of it for you, bring in the groceries out to you. Download the Mathern's app today. And oh, by the way, If you're moving kids in to the dorms this week, which you've probably already done, if you're realizing now that they don't have the dorm fridge, they don't have the little convection oven or an air fryer or whatever the small appliance might be that they can get away with having in their dorms, Mathern's has got you covered there too. That's the Nicholson location, Nicholson Gateway Shopping Center, right across the street from Tiger Stadium. Of course, downtown's still kicking as well. Mathern's. Download the app today. Sorry, I was running behind on live reads, which is a good problem to have.
Yeah, it is.
Next segment. I've eaten up enough of Don's time.
No, buddy, I'm enjoying it. Look, I'm just.
Rain will be in and out all day today. The New Roads area, along with the Felicianas, are not included in the heat advisory because those spots are most likely to see rain on and off all day.
So how is she adjusting to high school?
Shit.
And missed a beat?
No, this is her milieu. She's totally my daughter. Like, she is meeting new people all the time, joining new clubs. She's a drama
about,
thing
man.
today. I know.
Look, it's what you make of
She's
it.
in her element.
I tell mine that. Now I'm like, buddy, it's what you make of it. You can be miserable or you can just soar.
Yeah. 7:39, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Time for Crime Stoppers. Time to welcome in Sergeant Don Capola. Don, what's happening, man?
Hey, good morning. Thank you for having me. It's
Glad to
been
have
a
you
while
on.
since I've been behind the mic.
Well, we had Ike here on last
Yes.
week to talk about back to school. With Dr. Cito Narcisse was in. He was back on again this week as well for a different
good,
segment.
good.
Yeah,
He's such
summer
a great
internships
guy.
with.
He's such a nice, he's such a nice man.
Absolutely, he's going to thrive here.
Oh yeah,
he's going to do good things. And then the week before, I don't even remember what was the week before that, but yeah, it's been a minute since we've actually gone out and caught some bad guys.
Yes, and even though I haven't been with you behind the mic, it's always good to see you and your listeners. We haven't featured fugitives in the last couple of weeks, but that hasn't stopped them from picking up the phone, contacting Crime Stoppers, reaching out on the P3 Tips app, and we are continuing to catch those bad guys. So I want to thank your listeners and let them know that we appreciate what they do and keep up that great work.
So the tips are still coming in. That's a good thing.
Yes.
It's one of the things I've been curious about throughout COVID, throughout the pandemic, is everybody's patterns and behaviors have changed. I've been wondering for a while now how that's affected whether or not people are still like calling in,
Absolutely,
offering up
calling
information.
And the good thing is we're not face to face with anyone.
Right.
We don't know who you are. We pick up the phone. We'll take that information, pass it on, and arrest is made from that information provided. Then you're eligible for a cash reward.
Well, I mean, you think the part of the beauty of the anonymity is it's completely COVID proof.
Completely.
Whether it's the phone, the P3 app, or the website, and then on the reward end, you're not physically walking
not
into a Crime
physically-
Stoppers office either.
You're going through a bank's drive-through and 100% COVID proof.
There you go, Crime Stoppers, COVID proof for the last 18 months. Who would have thought we'd talk about Crime Stoppers in that regard
Well,
at any time? in
anyone
history?
who had any questions now, that gives them a peace of mind to keep sending those tips in.
All right, let's catch some bad guys today. Who's out there?
So we're going to start with LSU Police Department.
Okay.
They are looking for, the first individual is a Landry Huff. Landry Huff, 51 years of age, on the charge of obscenity.
Obscenity?
Earlier this year, there was a complaint by an individual who observed Mr. Huff expose himself.
Oh, okay.
LSU Police Department investigators did a great job following up with this. We're able to secure some video surveillance, put a lineup together. The victim was able to immediately point out the individual that they have observed this act.
Not going to ask how they
Mr.
recognized
Huff.
him.
So anyhow, Landry Huff.
Got him.
51 years of age. LSU Police Department is searching for him on the charge of obscenity.
With this, I assume since it's LSU PD, this was on campus.
This was somewhere on campus. This took place.
Okay.
51 sticking with LSU Police, they're looking also for a 46-year-old Keith St. Mary. Keith St. Mary on the charge of simple burglary and access device fraud. Investigators believe, again, while on campus, a vehicle burglary occurred.
Okay.
A wallet was left along with some other personal items inside the vehicle that was taken, believed to be by St. Mary. Charges were then at other convenience stores made with this victim's debit card, credit cards that was in the wallet at the time.
Yeah.
Again, investigators did what they had to do through the investigative process and were able to identify Keith St. Mary as the individual using those stolen cards, believe that he is also the one that burglarized this vehicle.
When did this one happen? I'm curious about when the other one happened as well.
These two were both mid-April.
Okay.
Of this
and
year.
that's the reason why I asked the question is because LSU is functioning year round. But we're at the back to school time, so I wouldn't assume you'd have more incidents over the summer. This dates back to the previous semester.
Correct. And with that being said, as students are moving in, especially freshmen who may be from different areas
Right.
or different states, it's just a reminder of don't keep valuables in your vehicle. Make sure your vehicles are locked. Do what you can and take the precautions you need to take, not to become a victim of vehicle burglary or
Right.
A theft or whatever it may be.
So the timing of that one is not lost on me as well, because you said it was about mid-April, which is about 3/4 of the way through the semester, which would be about the right time for your guard to get let down. You start to feel a little bit too comfortable. You've been good to go every day up until now. Why would today be any different? And then boom, that's when you let your guard down, that's when things like this can end up happening.
That's when things happen. And don't ever think, hey, this can't happen to me.
Right.
Because as soon as you say that, then it's almost like you cursed yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you put the jinx on it, like talking to a pitcher during a no-hitter. It just, you don't do it. But at the same time, though, it's weird because LSU's campus is, you live, work, and play. Work, and play. Like, you want to feel comfortable in your own home, and LSU being your home, like that, not saying that, everybody lives on campus, but they do have to project all three different scenarios. They do have to protect all three different scenarios.
Right.
When you're on a campus, it covers a lot of ground. So things like this are going to happen from time to time. It's just a matter of being vigilant about it.
And that's it. And Chief Thompson and his department, they do a great job. And so again, if you have any information on these individuals, pick up the phone and contact Crimestoppers.
Who
the
else?
last one LSU has is a Malcolm Bernard Jr. 19 years of age, wanted on counts of theft and criminal damage to property. This reverts back to the catalytic converter thefts.
Oh.
Yes. So LSU police detectives, in collaboration with Baton Rouge police detectives, looked at some cases together. As you know, Brian, this has been something that has escalated in the past, and,
right.
and still you see a little bit of this now. But again, Malcolm Bernard Jr., 19 years of age, wanted on theft charges and criminal damage to property.
And criminal
charges.
damage to property. That's the curious part to me. What kind of damage are we talking about?
Well, as far as cutting these catalytic converters.
Gotcha. Yeah.
They damaged the vehicle in that process.
Now,
So
from a prevention standpoint, there's not a whole lot that the victim in this crime could have done to prevent this, is there?
well, and there's not a whole lot, but I believe I had seen that they're making some type of cover that actually goes underneath the vehicle that covers this catalytic converter.
Okay.
Not to say that it's impossible to get off, but you have to think that these individuals are it's in a quick in and out.
Right.
So if they see something that a cover or something that as a deterrent, they may move on because of the they're looking for something quick.
Right.
And of course, park underneath maybe a street light or it's
well,
just
that one depending on time of year, those spots are few and far between.
Few and far between.
Yeah,
yes,
I mean, there's a lot of times when parking on campus, you just got to get in wherever you can ever get wherever you can
and
get in.
not just on campus, but in the Mall of Louisiana.
Oh, 100%.
Matherns.
Yes.
It's just you just never know.
Yeah.
Never know. So
we got 2 minutes left. I think we got time for one
let's
more.
move off to off LSU onto Gonzales. Gonzales Police Department is looking for a Keywan Warren, 31 years of age, on the charge of felony theft.
Okay.
Investigators believe that this also was a wallet, a purse was dropped, items were taken out, charges were made against that individual with their cards.
Okay.
That Warren had no permission to use.
Right.
So again, Keywan Warren, 31 years of age, wanted by Gonzales Police Department on the charge of felony theft.
It's interesting that whether or not a purse was dropped or you actually go and knock somebody down and take their stuff, when you're using their property, it's the same crime regardless.
Unlawfully using is the same crime.
Yeah, you're still
If
stealing.
it's not yours, leave it be.
344-STOP is the phone number. 344-STOP is the phone number. The P3 app is available. As we always say, it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. I've had it for well over a year now and have yet to have a chance to use it. I can't say I want to use it,
but you have
but I
it
know
just
it's there.
in case.
Yeah, yeah. And in the meanwhile, you can check out the Crimestoppers website as well. He is Sergeant Don Capola. We do it every week. We check in on Crimestoppers, see if we can't catch some bad guys. If you know anything about the whereabouts or the scenarios involved in any of those that we just talked about, 344-STOP. Don, we always appreciate your time, man. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week.
Yes, sir.
Your Money Now coming your way in exactly 10 seconds. After we check Your Money Now, we'll check traffic. After that, it's time to step outside of East Baton Rouge Parish for the Outside and presented by brptlake.com.
Could have elaborated on how did they identify him.
No. Just leave that. There's video surveillance. We don't need to talk about.
You don't kick it off right at it.
Hey, if you need something, let me know. Tell Zach I said hello.
I will.
Hopefully he didn't
I'll
talk
see him
bad
this
about
evening.
me, did he?
No.
Okay, good.
No, it speaks very highly.
But yeah, you'll hear
And tell him to let his mom know I said hello as well. Michelle.
Do that.
Y'all be good.
You too, Don.
Thank you.
Good one, yes, sir.
Nice to see you.
Nvidia shares up 1.5% in pre-market trading after the chip maker's earnings topped Wall Street estimates.
I'm going to have to run down the hall at the news break.
Constraints and the ongoing global chip shortage are
Isa Babalan.
reflected in its outlook. For the current quarter, the Nvidia's chip maker forecast revenue of 6.66 to 6.94.
A shortbread cookie bar from Go Slim this morning. I had Boru ramen last night. That was my real. What is wrong with you?
It's right there, and
I know.
Still haven't had it. I'm probably the only person in this entire building that has not had it.
Oh, Boru's the best.
Here it's good. Yeah.
We were at yeah.
I tell you what, out of all of Moscona's like video lives, that's
Yeah.
my favorite one. It
Yeah.
looks good. Like, whoever took that
It is
video
good.
did
So
a good
for your
friggin'
first
job.
Boru experience, I recommend going in. Don't get it to go for your first time. Go in and fully experience it. Yeah, Christy was like, I kind of want Boru tonight. I'm like, done. I'm going. I'll go place it to go order right now. She's like, I'm not sending you all the way back because we were on our way home at that point, and they'd come all the way back downtown. I'm like, it's not a problem. She's like, I'm not gonna make you do that. I'm like, you're not making me do anything. I'm volunteering. This is Boru we're talking about. So anyway, it's I get the Red Rouge spicy tonkatsu. So good. She gets the classic tonkatsu and then adds a little bit of the spicy back in it.
What is Dr. Wilson's title? Meet our team of attorneys at Murphy Law Firm. Shawn, you're an attorney for your injury case.
I can tell you.
He answered the phone and said, hey, it's secretary.
He is the secretary, yes.
But who's secretary?
Oh, I gotta write this down.
Winning at Life with Gregory is a financial talk show covering the latest in financial stuff. Winning at Life with Gregory
Where's my birthdays? I've got a birthday to add today.
Do you?
Yeah.
Like someone you know?
Yeah. Someone a lot of our audience knows. A lot of our audience knows. Kirk Cousins.
I don't think it's that.
It is Kirk Cousins' birthday. Did you see the TikTok series where Vikings fans were asked to stitch the Kirk Cousins video to where he drops back to make a pass and they're supposed to catch it? And like every one of them stitched it to where he's just wildly overthrowing them?
No, but that would be accurate.
So good. Like you just watch the ball sail over and give up on the route.
I mean,
it's so good.
Like unless he's playing the Saints, that's exactly what happens.
Right. If he's playing the Saints, it's a different story.
He plays the Saints, he's like 32 of 35 for 340.
Yeah, and somebody's tackling a ghost.
3 touchdowns.
Actually, that wasn't Kirk Cousins.
That was Keenum.
Yeah.
Cousins was the last one when he threw it to Kyle Rudolph in overtime.
Yeah. So, that Crimestoppers intro, the line, my eyes only, pal. Sonny Crockett, Don Johnson's character in Miami Vice. I don't know if this is real or not because I haven't watched the trailer yet. But when I pulled up YouTube today to click on this show, the first thing in line for my previews, Miami Vice miniseries teaser 2021 Homecoming. Are Crockett and Tubbs getting back together and I don't know about it yet? How long do I have?
45 seconds.
Skip ad. Homecoming.
Type in the letter T on YouTube. What's the first thing that pops up?
Type in the letter T.
What's the first thing that pops up?
Titanic.
Nope, Taliban.
Of course. Who's in prison? This might be real.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like you're not the only one that's...
But it was posted 3 months ago. I got to learn more.
That's killed me, but there's more to know.
7:55 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Thanks again to Sergeant Don Capola for popping in for Crimestoppers. We do that every single week. If you know anything, if you see anything, say something. If you see something, say something. If you've got any information, doesn't have to be a whole lot of information. What you know might be a piece of the puzzle that helps put everything else together. It might seem insignificant at the time, but there's no way to know that unless you call 344-STOP, 344-STOP. And your anonymity is protected, so no need to worry about that. I'm going to get you to the outside in just a minute. Right now, though, before that, got to tell you about the folks over at the Louisiana Beef Industry Council. We team up every summer to bring you Foodie Friday. We team up from Memorial Day to Labor Day. Grilling season, baby. What are you doing this weekend? You hitting the grill? Maybe grab some beef before you do. Maybe throw some burgers on the grill. Maybe you want that perfect steak. Maybe you're going the full-on brisket route. Doesn't matter. Beef, it's what's for dinner. That's the tagline. BeefIt'sWhat'sForDinner.com is the website. BeefIt'sWhat'sForDinner.com. Download some recipes. Trade a few tips. Learn a little more about the nutritional information about beef. BeefIt'sWhat'sForDinner.com is the website. Foodie Friday coming your way tomorrow. I believe our moms is bringing in hamburgers. In the meanwhile, BeefIt'sWhat'sForDinner.com. All right. Every day, we step outside of East Baton Rouge Parish. We check in on our surrounding areas for a segment we call The Outside In. Oh. Starting off down the road in St. Charles Parish, a man's mother and grandmother are both now charged in a deadly wreck he allegedly caused earlier this year after they helped him evade police the night of the crash. 22-year-old Hunter Johnson was arrested back in March for the January 14th crash on I-310 bridge in Luling. He's charged with vehicular homicide, among a number of other charges. According to Louisiana State Police, Johnson crashed through a work site on the bridge around 1 a.m. that morning, killed a man working on the bridge, sending the worker over the side of the bridge into the Mississippi River below. The man killed, 44-year-old Brady Ortigo, was a contractor from Baton Rouge. Johnson's grandmother, 73-year-old Marie Sally Dufresne, was arrested in July after investigators discovered she picked her grandson up from the crash scene, never told authorities about it. On August 18th, state police, that would be yesterday, state police announced new charges for Johnson's mother, 51-year-old Pebbles Johnson. Pebbles Johnson was arrested Wednesday after investigators learned she picked up her son from Dufresne's house that night and brought him to a hotel in Houma.
Is his nickname Bam Bam?
It does not list a nickname for Hunter.
I'm assuming.
It might as well be. Where are we headed to next? We're headed to East Feliciana Parish next. One person died from injuries after a head-on crash in East Feliciana Parish. Louisiana State Police say 27-year-old Tommy Robinson was driving on Highway 67 around 3 p.m. His car crossed the center line and hit a Chevy Silverado. Robinson was wearing a seatbelt but died at the scene. Deputies said the other driver suffered moderate injuries. Over in Livingston Parish, Walmart's closed today on South Range Avenue for a deep cleaning that started yesterday afternoon. They'll be back open tomorrow morning. So if you had Walmart on your to-do list today, make a to-do list tomorrow. In West Feliciana Parish, the annual rodeo at Angola has been canceled for the second year in a row due to the pandemic. Department of Corrections announced the cancellation of the event yesterday afternoon. That is the Outside In, presented by brptlake.com. brptlake.com. Quick break for news. Coming back with Hour 3 next. All right, I'll be right back, y'all.
Walmart being closed in Livingston, big deal. Yeah. The reality is, Walmart needed a deep cleaning long before the COVID-19 pandemic. Walmart sucks so bad, dude. I think I'd rather get a root canal than spend an extended period of time inside of a Walmart.
I'd rather work anywhere else.
Anywhere?
Yeah.
What if
I've watched the documentary.
what if you worked at a sewer treatment facility?
Probably pays better than Walmart.
Yeah, but you literally have to do it all day.
Yeah. I don't know. I watched the documentary.
I think I'd pick Walmart. I'd care for the goldfish in Walmart, you know?
Yeah.
That'd be my job. It's not a bad job.
I watched the documentary detailing why that statement is entirely false.
What?
Working at Walmart's actually hell.
Oh, yeah. I'm assuming. Going to Walmart sucks. I can't imagine working there. I try to go to bed by 10:30, but most of the time I don't. If I go to bed at 10:30 and wake up at 4:30, that gives me 6 hours. That's what I try for. I mean, sometimes it's 11:30, but between 10:30 and 11:30 is what I shoot for.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's not terrible if you can get 6 hours in.
I can run on 6. I've run on.
Where do you live?
I live by campus.
Oh, see, you don't have to wake up at 4:30 like I do. You can wake up at 5 and be fine.
Yeah, I like sitting a little bit and just kind of waking up slowly.
Okay,
So
then yeah.
I usually clip my hours to sleep a little short.
See, I'm coming from Walker, so I mean,
Yeah.
I gotta leave the house at like 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
Like really no. I mean, I can leave at like 5:10, 5:15 at the latest, but
I definitely had an easier time getting here than I did yesterday.
yeah.
Yesterday I was.
Well, I clearly had an easier time getting here today. So, for those of you who don't know, I got here 2 minutes before the show started yesterday.
Quite eventful.
Oh man, it's always fun. Fun when this day in history. Nothing cool happens, so we're just gonna goof it. Because those always turn out to be the best.
.806 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Hour 3 of Mornings with Brian Haldane coming your way right now. Brian here with you. Taylor Sharp producing. Got another busy hour here. Dr. Aldo Russo from Oxnard is going to hop on in the next segment. Want to talk about the difference between natural immunity, having antibodies, versus getting the vaccine. There's a very strong argument out there, there's a very strong contingent of people, I should say, saying that I've got the antibodies, I don't need the vaccine. Well, I wanted to ask the question of a doctor, and we'll have Dr. Aldo Russo to talk about that in our next segment. Also this hour, Governor John Bel Edwards' monthly call-in show was yesterday. We've got a few sound bites from that as well, talking about, honestly, the most logical thing I've heard since the beginning of the pandemic when it comes to vaccine hesitancy. We'll break that down later on this hour. Right now, though, we start off the hour. Taylor takes us back in time for this day in history.
All right, Brian, you ready for this?
No! Yes, I am.
We start in 1692.
Okay.
5 more people are hanged for witchcraft in Salem, Massachusetts, bringing the total to 19.
Okay.
Salem, Massachusetts, man.
Bruh. I mean, 5 people in one day?
19 total for witchcraft.
that's a
I'll tell you what,
pretty serious hanging day.
that entire town has like a combined IQ of like 80.
Yeah.
1793, the
Think
yellow...
about witches, though. Did you have to hang them a lot at once? Or else, like, the other witches would come get you?
I think they did it one at a time, I would imagine.
You think?
I don't think in 1693 they...
Not a lot of forethought?
I don't think they had enough ropes back then to...
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably true.
1793, the yellow fever epidemic in Philadelphia has its first fatality. It lasts until November, killing around 5,000 people.
Goodness gracious.
You know why, right? No mask.
Yep.
1849, the New York Herald reports the first gold discovery in California. 1897, first electric taxis driven in London. 1903, the Philadelphia Phillies suffer a record 9th straight postponed game. Why was that game postponed? Contact tracing. 1909.
Our guest was a little early. I wasn't absent.
Yeah, a lot early.
I wasn't bailing on you. I was on the phone.
No, so the Philadelphia Phillies in 1903 had their 9th straight game postponed due to contact tracing.
Yeah, they did.
1909, Indianapolis Motor Speedway, home of the Indianapolis 500, opens.
1909 was when Indianapolis Motor Speedway opened.
That's correct.
Seems very early.
1921, Detroit Tiger Ty Cobb is the 4th player ever to get 3,000 career hits, and he becomes the youngest player to do so.
He was just a bad guy, though, as I understand it. I didn't know him personally.
Well, he did it against the Red Sox, so that helps him.
Yeah, Red Sox hurler Elmer Myers. Back when you could be named Elmer and pitch in the major leagues.
That's right.
Elmer.
Back when you could be named Elmer and be good at sports.
Elmer and be good at anything.
1965.
My apologies to everyone in the audience named Elmer.
All like
not against you personally, Elmer.
1965. The Auschwitz trials officially end with 6 life sentences.
Goodness gracious.
1983. Former LSU football star Billy Cannon sentenced to 5 years for counterfeiting.
Aww. Did that one? Yeah, no, that's on my list too. Son of a gun.
1993. Mattel and Fisher-Price toy companies merge.
Okay. What'd they become?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's just Fisher-Price.
Gotcha.
2020.
2020.
Apple becomes the first U.S. company to be valued at $2 trillion just 2 years after it reached $1 trillion.
Pretty incredible.
That's it. Reached $1 trillion in 2 years.
Yep. Well, they say the first trillion's the hardest.
Yeah, that's what they always say. You ready for some birthdays? Big birthday day.
It's a huge birthday day.
John Stamos, 58.
Yes, he is.
Doing a lot better than his counterpart, Aunt Becky. Matthew Perry, 52 years old.
Love Matthew Perry.
Bill Clinton, 75. Talk about a bad birthday, because 2 days ago, we had the I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
I know.
Okay, so
Yeah, you got to imagine that birthday party. It left a lot to be desired.
that was a tough one. No,
Figuratively and literally.
yeah. Kirk Cousins, 33 years old.
Yeah.
Former NFL offensive lineman Anthony Munoz, 63.
How did I miss Anthony Munoz on here?
Former NFL
There he
kicker.
is.
Former NFL kicker Morton Anderson, 61 years old.
Saints Hall of Famer
That's
Morton
it.
Anderson.
Bobby Hebert, the Cajun Cannon himself, 61 years old.
So Bobby Hebert and Morton Anderson born on the same day.
Yep.
I mean, that's awesome. 2 more.
Sportscaster Kirk Herbstreit, 52
There
years
you
old
go.
today.
There you go.
Coco Chanel,
Oh,
born in
you got a lot
1883.
more than 2 more. All right.
Orville Wright of the Wright Brothers Airplanes,
Orville. That's as solid of a first name as Elmer.
1871. Apparently you have one that I don't. Who you got?
I got 2 that you don't.
Who you got?
The first one's Fat Joe.
I thought about including Fat Joe, but then I decided that he wasn't good enough, so I left him out.
Fair enough. That's fair. Also, happy birthday to our pastor at Our Lady of Mercy, Father
Okay.
Cleo Milano. Father Cleo's birthday is today.
National Day.
Shout out. Wait, you don't have deaths?
I didn't. I
You
don't
got
have-
one.
Who you got?
Groucho Marx. This
I will
day in-
pretend like I know who Groucho Marx is.
Get out. You should leave.
Never heard of him. Wow. He sounds grumpy, though.
No! All right, that is unintentionally hilarious. You have no idea how funny that was.
National Days. It's Coco Chanel Day.
Fine.
You're going to hate these national days, I can tell.
Oh, that's a regular occurrence here.
International Bow Day.
Bow?
Yeah, like bow in your
Like
hair.
a bow in your hair? All right.
International Orangutan Day.
Okay.
For no reason whatsoever.
No.
It's National Aviation Day because it's Orville Wright's birthday.
Sure.
Makes sense. Hot and Spicy Food Day.
All right.
It's National Root Beer Float Day. Now, if you think we
Wait
just
a minute.
had that.
We did.
We did. It's also on August 6th. Why? No one knows. And if you had it in August, wouldn't you have it in, like, I don't know, April or something?
Right.
Nope. August 6th and August 19th.
Who's running National Root Beer Float? Is it like Hans Gruber? Hit him again.
Yeah.
Hit him again.
Two
No,
weeks-
they get it, Hans! Call him up!
2 weeks later. Yeah. National Sandcastle and Sculpture Day.
All right. That's stupid. School's back in. Nobody's building sandcastles anymore.
I told you you're
Give me
gonna
that
hate
day
these.
like three weeks ago when people might have still been making one last trip to the beach.
I told you that you're going to hate these.
Stupid day.
There's one coming up you're not going to like. Potato Day.
Fine. I'm
World
indifferent.
Humanitarian Day.
Okay, that's a good
Okay,
one.
so explain to me the difference of this one. It's International Orangutan Day, right?
Yes.
It's also World Orangutan Day.
Yeah, that's just...
It's the same thing.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. World Photography Day
Okay,
and National Chefs Appreciation Week.
that's fine.
That is your this
yeah.
day in history.
All right. 814, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. I'm going to take a quick break. When we come back, let's talk vaccinations in our next segment. Dr. Aldo Russo, he's the Regional Medical Director for Ochsner, going to join us to talk about the differences between antibodies and vaccines, the differences between natural immunity and being vaccinated. That's coming up next on Talk 107.3. There he is.
Yes, sir. Give us about 2 minutes.
I was like, I leave you on hold for about 7, or you can call back. Father Cleo shares a birthday with John Stamos. John Stamos. I got a thread going with some of the men's group that I'm in. No, because I don't want to. The punchline was going to be and Bill Clinton, but that's probably better. And I don't think any Fat Joe.
Who exactly? I know one Fat Joe song, and it's because Lil Wayne is in it.
Yeah? Which one?
Make It Rain.
Oh, yeah.
It's literally the only one I know.
That's Fat Joe. His name was a lot more popular than his.
I feel like everyone knows that name. They don't know what he looks like or what his occupation is.
Right, he's not even all that fat.
Nah.
No, it's let's see, songs. I'm so hood.
That's him?
Yeah.
Yeah, but somebody else is in that with him. Who does the chorus?
That was DJ Khaled, wasn't it?
I thought that was DJ Khaled. Yeah, I don't think that's it. Fat Joe now taking credit for other people's songs. Yeah.
Excuse me, I'm so hood remix.
Oh, he must be in the remix.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's like the Cha-Cha Slide Part 1. No one's ever actually heard it, but you know it's there.
So I have.
You ever realize that? Anytime the Cha-Cha Slide plays, they say, "Getting ready for the slide Part 2," and I'm always like, "What's the first one?"
Is this us? Okay. 818 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. We're in a little long in the first segment. Time to dive right into this segment. Time to talk a little bit about vaccines versus natural immunity. Vaccines versus antibodies. Is there a benefit one way or the other? Dr. Aldo Russo is a regional medical director for Ochsner. He joins us now. Dr. Russo, good morning. Welcome to Talk 107.3. How are you, sir?
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
No, glad to have you on here. I'm glad anytime we can talk about vaccines from a standpoint of just clearing up questions. I mean, it is a relatively new thing for the COVID vaccines out there, so a lot of people are left with doubts, concerns, and the like. So let's dive in. I want to start with this. We see numbers regularly of the number of people in the hospital that are vaccinated versus unvaccinated. From Ochsner's standpoint, where are your numbers right now?
So thank you for that question. Before, I just want to make sure that your audience understands that the COVID vaccine, the technology used for the vaccine, has been in the works for 20 to 25 years. So this is not a brand new vaccine.
Okay.
So what we're seeing in our hospital is about 10 to 12% of the patients that are being admitted with COVID have been vaccinated. So what that translates is of about, let's say, if you take 100 patients that are admitted with COVID, 14 of those are vaccinated. But you cannot compare apples to apples in this type of setting because you don't know how many of the vaccinated people are actually getting infected compared to the unvaccinated people. So we do know that the vaccine are extremely effective in preventing hospitalizations and in preventing severe disease and in preventing death.
Okay.
I can tell you that the majority of the patients in the hospital are not vaccinated, are also between the ages of 20 and 55, which is not what we saw in the first surge.
Yeah, it's definitely, everything's been younger this time around with the Delta variant, and simultaneously, it's the younger crowd that's predominantly unvaccinated.
Correct. Unfortunately, there's a lot of misinformation out there, and one of the sectors or the section of the population that has not been vaccinated overwhelmingly is female childbearing age females. because there was misinformation out there saying that the vaccine will cause infertility, or it will cause the fertilized egg not to attach to the uterus and the placenta, and there's all kinds of things. But we know that this is not true. And the American Academy of Pediatrics, the OB Society, as well as the Fertility Society, have all come out and said that this is not true, and the vaccines are safe.
Dr. Aldo Russo is our guest. Let's talk about that for just a second. And I do want to talk about folks with antibodies or some sort of natural immunity as well. But let's talk about that from the perspective of the misinformation that got out there about pregnant women or fertility issues or whatnot. The short answer I get is that's just not how mRNA works. So can you expound on that to explain a little more, and please, layman's terms, because I don't know a whole lot. But can you expound on that a little bit to explain how it does work so we can see the separation?
Yeah, so let me just go back a little bit and say why the misinformation was put out there. It was relayed that the protein of the vaccine that is carrying the mRNA particle attaches to the fertilized egg or attaches to the ovaries in women. Mm-hmm. And that is not accurate. This misinformation was put out there by people who, for some reason, had some malintent, and it does not attach and prevent any impregnation or getting anybody pregnant, basically. Now, the way that the mRNA vaccine works is that it carries information for our own body to detect that this is not a natural, or it's not a normal protein that is entering our body, and then that sends the information to our own white cells, or we call it the army of the body, to attack that type of protein. Right. And when you're exposed to the virus, what happens is that your body already recognizes that there's a foreign entity or a foreign organism trying to cause damage, and it has already developed antibodies to fight it and get rid of it. Now, the vaccine itself does not have long-term effects. It doesn't cause any major damage or any DNA alteration, like we've heard also in some misinformation. What does happen is that our body recognizes the virus and then it fights it off and eliminates it. Now, there's a very interesting phenomenon that is happening for three reasons mainly, and it's either one or all of them combined. There's the Delta variant, which is definitely more infectious than the previous variant or the original variant. Mm-hmm. Then there's the lack of social distancing, mask wearing, or avoiding confined spaces. And then there's also the factor of kind of the spread of the virus that is going on within unvaccinated people. There's also a factor of decreasing antibodies through times, and now we learn from the studies in Israel and also from the studies in New York City from about 10 million people that got vaccinated, that after 6 to 8 months, they start to see a decline of the levels of the antibody. Now, I do have to say that even if your antibodies are declining, having the vaccine protects you from getting in the hospital, being really sick. Okay. So those three conditions, meaning the weaning off of the antibodies or the decrease of the antibody levels, the not masking or social distancing, and also the fact that the Delta variant seems like the real deal. It's more aggressive, it's more what we call virulent, and it causes more disease than the previous virus or the original virus. It's what's causing some of the breakthrough symptoms. And if you look at a chart that we have, we can tell that the people who are having the breakthrough infections, I should say, are the ones that have some sort of chronic condition or immune problem. That's why the FDA approved the boost vaccine or the third shot for people with immunocompromised health situation. And that is why, after seeing the data from New York and Israel, they approve a third vaccine for everybody that has been vaccinated as well.
Dr. Aldo Russo is our guest. He's a regional medical director for Ochsner. Dr. Russo, I want to ask you this question, and I honestly don't know if there is an answer to it or not. But so when someone checks in the hospital with COVID, you find out if they're vaccinated or not. Is there any line of questioning that finds out how recently they may have had COVID before? Like, can we tell how many people in the hospital still have antibodies, or, even if it might be a deteriorating amount of antibodies? Can we tell how many people have had COVID before and are in the hospital, and whether or not the antibodies from a previous variant hold up against Delta variant?
Yeah, so we know the people that have are in our medical records. We know those who had COVID before.
Mm-hmm.
We're not checking antibody levels on everybody when they get admitted, but we do know that about 20 to 25% of the patients admitted to the hospital had been exposed to the virus before.
Okay.
So the natural immunity that having the infection per se about a year ago, if you had, let's say you had it last spring, the natural infection conferred by the virus itself is not lasting long enough to protect you from the Delta virus. So this is the main issue, and we cannot stress enough to everybody how important it is, even if you had COVID 3 months ago, how important it is to get the vaccine, because what you're going to be getting is boosting that immune system to keep your antibody levels at a higher number to prevent from getting sick if you get another infection.
So total layperson's take here, but the general takeaway I get is that the vaccine provides like a more generic blanket coverage, whereas the natural immunity is more specific to the variant you had. Is that right?
That's pretty much it. That's a very simple way of saying it.
Yeah, I know I'm oversimplifying.
I like the way you say it. But yes, so if you got the native or the original variant that happened a year ago, you probably are not going to have the same protection against the Delta variant.
One more before you, we got about a minute to go. One more for Dr. Aldo Russo before we get you out of here, and that's about booster shots are on their way to Ochsner. So I'm a vaccinated guy, right? So I'm probably going to be in line for a booster in about a month or so. Is this the first of many boosters, or is the take that we get a booster and we're done after that?
That's a great question, and I don't think I can give you an answer to that right now. But here's the thing: we do know that if you got the vaccine 8 months ago, you should get a booster just to prevent the virulence from the Delta variant spreading.
I got my vaccine. What is it? It's August right now. I got my vaccine 4 months ago. So should I pace this out and wait, or should I go ahead and get it?
Yes. Now the recommendation that we're given is that 8 months after your second dose, you should get your third vaccine.
I greatly appreciate the information. I greatly appreciate you hopping on here. You cleared up a lot. Dr. Aldo Russo, Regional Medical Director for Ochsner. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. Absolutely. All right. Hey, a lot to take away from that. First of all, the vaccine covers more of the variants, or is proven to cover more of the variants. Number two, if 10% of those hospitalized are vaccinated, 20% look like they've got some level of natural immunity. So while it might not be as good as vaccination, there is something to that. And the third part right there, bro, if you're in that line for vaccines right now, go ahead and pace it out. Let everybody else who got the vaccines early hop in line for the booster. I can wait 4 more months. Fair enough. 8:31, Talk 107.3 FM. We're going to hear from Ask the Governor. Governor John Bel Edwards' show was on yesterday. Got a couple of sound bites we want to hear right after we check news, traffic, and weather. I know I'm about to get an email from one of the people that has been. So there's 4 or 5 people who email on a regular basis about why is it all vaccines and masks? And I could tell they're watching the same news reports and trading the same forwarded emails and following the same websites based off of what they're sending me because it's the same language from every single person. I think I addressed it, but I guarantee you, no matter what I asked in that interview, it's not going to be satisfactory.
Honestly, I wish I was a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah?
Yeah. I got to run with so many things, twist so many things everybody says. For example, when he said, they've been working on this vaccine for 25 years. I could come out and say, they've been creating this this virus in a lab for 25 years.
That was not lost on me. I heard that too.
That was my first thought, was that someone's going to take away that.
Yeah. It's, kill my mic for a second. One.
Yeah. Exactly right. That's definitely what happened.
Yeah. Follow-up question. What the hell, dog? What things are going to play out to where we're going to see in the long run it's not just Trumpers who are not getting vaccinated. Yeah. It's the way it's playing out right now. Yes, that there's a serious contention of that. But number one, based off of the data they're gathering, you can't tell by who is and is not vaccinated who they voted for. You can only tell by the vocal minority who likes to sound off on Facebook about everything. It is such a small percentage. Now, I believe it's.
Well, what did they call it when Trump got elected? The silent majority.
Right.
Because there were so many people that were against him, but it was the same voices over and over that you heard. Right. It's the same thing here. It's like everybody who's Republican and doesn't like the vaccine. I'm like, no. There's 10 people on your Facebook feed that fire the same shit off every day.
Right.
And that's all you see.
Right.
But it's
and it will anger you to the point of where you want to just murder people.
Exactly.
All right.
You got the young mattress.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
Shit, tomorrow's gonna be a busy one. We got 7 tomorrow.
7. Damn right.
Because we got beef council.
Beef.
We got ghost on.
Yeah. I sell out at 10. I did not think I would be over halfway there 2 years into the show. Hmm? What do you mean? Yeah. Yeah. For ours? Oh, for them. Yeah. Oh, good. All right. I'm going to get this woman on. I got to find out her name and get her on. There's a new movie called Mahalia, about Mahalia Jackson. That is going to be a walk through Louisiana history that we need to explore. What? Who's Mahalia Jackson? It's okay. I know. You don't know who Groucho Marx is. You don't know who the Marx Brothers are. No, different Marx. These were a lot funnier. True.
They say easygoing guy for the most part.
He was very chill.
Yeah.
He
Don't cross him. But other than that.
no. You're gonna like. You're on day 2, man. You're gonna hate us. If you're secretly recording, that's gonna just destroy everything. I know. 8:38. Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. So Ask the Governor was on yesterday. We carry the show every third Wednesday of the month. Third Wednesday? Who keeps count like that? It's the third Wednesday of the month. So every third Wednesday of the month, 2 o'clock, Ask the Governor, statewide call-in show. Governor John Bell Edwards takes calls on just about everything under the sun. Taylor, our favorite caller, called in yesterday. He went by the name of Steven yesterday. And
wait, which caller?
The fast talking guy.
Because we got two that are
175 people who have died from COVID. That's now back down to 3. So I think,
really?
Yeah. So anyway, a lot of ground was covered on the show. The governor answered everything from vaccine mandates to get ready for it. By the way, once it's FDA approved, the mandates are going to be a lot more than just LSU. You're going to see it added in. The references were made to the MMR vaccine and booster that your kids get before going to school. Why would this be any different? If it's an FDA-approved vaccine, why would this be any different when it comes to going to school? You already have to get vaccinated for meningitis before you go to college. Why would this be any different than that? Anyway, that was just one of the many topics. Covered rental assistance, covered unemployment, talked about, I believe he talked about the infrastructure bill a little bit. Moderator Jim Inkster, who does a good job a great job actually, of picking up the ball where callers might be lagging. Jim Inkster asked the question I think is on everybody's mind as we're midway through August, heading into September. That means we're heading into football season. Jim Inkster asked me, he said, and I'm paraphrasing here, but I believe I'm getting the nature of the question right. The nature of the question right. Jim said, with the Delta variant as rampant as it is, with caseloads where they are right now, should we still be looking forward to a packed Tiger Stadium midway through September?
Yeah, well, there's good news there, is that it's outside, and it's always safer than inside. And, you know, is it as safe as if you actually have enough distance between the two people? No, but there are other things that can be done. So whether or not a mask is mandated, people should wear one when they're going in and out of Tiger Stadium, and when they're sitting in their seats or whatever in close proximity to others. So there are ways to make that experience safe, and I believe that is going to happen in Tiger Stadium and in the Superdome and in other places. And but I do encourage people to always be mindful. If by age or by comorbid health condition you are more vulnerable to this disease, then you need to take extra precautions.
Okay, a lot to unpack right there. First of all, yeah, Tiger Stadium is outdoors. Every college stadium, every college football stadium in Louisiana is outdoors. The only indoor facility we have would be the New Orleans Superdome. I'm sorry, the Caesars Superdome. That being said, we ran through this a lot when we were looking at previous cancellations or capacity restrictions and whatnot. The ventilation in the system in the Superdome is meant to stave off a chemical terrorist attack. Like it's top notch. It's just as good as being outside as it is being inside there. In fact, probably even a little more so because the air is moving and getting out of there. Now, that being said, that's just football season. A lot of the overriding theme of the show was about vaccine hesitancy, and we're going to dive into that in just a minute. There was one other one that I want to get to before the vaccine hesitancy stuff. This is cut 4, Taylor, and that is the governor was talking about the percentage of people who are in the hospital who are vaccinated versus unvaccinated, and stumble across a very interesting little tidbit here. When we see the numbers every day, and I asked it of Dr. Russo in the last segment, 90% unvaccinated in the hospital, which would mean only 10% of those who are hospitalized are vaccinated. The governor dropped this little nugget in as well.
What I can tell you from my weekly phone calls with medical directors of our largest hospitals across the state, there are a number of individuals who go into the hospital with COVID-19 who say that they are vaccinated when in fact they are not. And I guess there are just some people that don't want to own up to the fact that they're there with COVID and they chose not to be vaccinated. And so the percentage of folks in our hospital today with COVID-19 who are unvaccinated is 91%. It might actually be a little bit higher because of the self-attestation that we know on occasion is wrong because the individual's name is not in the link system as having received a vaccination.
Okay, not in the link system as having received a vaccination. So theirs is verifiable that, okay, just because you go into a hospital, you say, yeah, I'm vaccinated, good to go. Whether or not you want to sound like you're vaccinated or whether or not you want to prevent them from trying to revaccinate you, that sort of thing, doesn't matter if they turn out to not be in the link system. They're not counted towards that number. That being said, where are we at vaccination-wise? More than 3 million shots have been administered since the beginning of this thing. I'm waiting for my computer to bring it back up. So far, more than 2 million, 2.1 and change, have started the process of being vaccinated, right? 1.8 million have completed the process of being vaccinated. Okay? The governor says it every time he has a chance to. He's selling the heck out of it, and I'm not hating on him for that. But 1,400 locations around the state. It's safe. It's convenient. It's effective. It's free. 1,400 locations around the state. More than 3.8 million doses have been administered. I wouldn't find it that hard to believe that of 3.8 million doses administered, maybe a couple people did not get logged into the system the right way. 1,400 locations around the state, maybe there wasn't 100% oversight when it came to logging everybody the right way. Drive-through locations, it's possible. Somebody got missed every here or there. So that being said, it does still leave open the possibility that some folks are just not fessing up when they get to the hospital. It just leaves the door open. You're never going to see that number get under 90% based off of what's there. It can only go up from there. All right, back to it. Let's talk vaccine hesitancy if we can. First and foremost, it's going to be cut 3, Taylor. First and foremost, the governor goes to great lengths to talk about, no, I'm sorry, we're going to go cut 2. I'll reverse order on this one. The governor was asked about vaccine hesitancy, and one of the main hesitations that folks have is the fact that it's emergency use authorization only. It's not full-on FDA approved. I got to tell you, this soundbite's 39 seconds long, and this might be the most logical 39 seconds I've heard in the last 18 months. If you're worried about vaccine, if you've got vaccine hesitancy because of something as EUA, well, what happens if you get sick afterwards?
If someone is unvaccinated and they do it because they don't trust the vaccines because they're only being administered pursuant to an emergency use authorization from the FDA, they need to know if they go to the hospital, then they're going to be treated with therapeutics that are also only being administered because of an EUA, an emergency use authorization from the FDA. And so if you're going to trust a doctor to treat you for COVID using something that's under an EUA, trust your doctors when they ask you to get vaccinated so that you don't have to go there.
That makes so much more sense than just fussing at people. Like that, for a guy like me, that translates. And it translates well. One more from the governor before we get out of here and hit your money now here in just a couple minutes, and that is talking about basically meeting people where they are. And the nature of the question was about how do you get through to people who are just I'm a hard no, Gov. Not me, not getting the vaccine, not going to hear it from you. Well, who can you hear it from? The governor elaborated on that and so much more.
We know from polling of people who are not yet vaccinated and they give their reasons and so forth, they're really not looking for government leaders right now. If they're going to change their mind, it's going to be on the basis of what a pastor tells them, what their doctor tells them, or whether they have some close family member who prevails upon them to get vaccinated, and whether they actually have close family members and friends who have serious disease or death. Unfortunately, and you can look at the newspapers, you can look at the news any night, and you see that there are all sorts of people going to the hospital and dying, and they're saying, "I just didn't believe it was real. I trusted my own immune system. I didn't think I needed the vaccine. I decided I would take my chances," and they almost universally come around, but in many cases it's too late. You can't get the vaccine once you need to be intubated, right? I mean, it's just not going to do you any good at that point. But we do have the ability to listen to people when they're in that circumstance and decide for ourselves that we don't want to be there, and that we can take advantage of these vaccines today. And look, today is a new day. It doesn't matter what you believed or said up until today. Today is a new day. You can change your mind, and you can take advantage of these vaccines. There are more than 1,400 locations in Louisiana today where someone can have access to these vaccines. They're safe, effective, and they are free, and they are convenient on top of that.
I forgot he had the sales pitch at the end of that one, too. 1,400 locations. They're safe, they're effective, they're convenient, and they're free. All right, back up to the meat and potatoes of that one, though. Experience is the greatest teacher out there. And I don't care how much messaging there is, and I don't care where that messaging comes from, though the closer to home the messaging starts, the more likely it is to get through. But experience is the greatest teacher there is. So how many folks are going to have to experience the harsh realities of what could happen should you contract COVID before they cross that bridge to getting vaccinated? We're going to take a quick break. We got one more segment to go here. Your money now, traffic. They're both coming your way right here. Well, I should say 5 seconds from right now. You're listening to Talk 107.3 FM, the new flavor of talk. Yeah, I wanted to push it back to after. have been thrown away. Okay? 2,176,967 vaccinations have been initiated. 1,806,044 have been completed. So how would you figure out that number?
Means they got their first dose, so they're not completely.
Right. Yeah. By my count, there should be 370,923 that are still in the process of. So is there a way to extrapolate? I don't know where I'm adding and subtracting here to know how do I make sure that the number of initiated and completed equals the number of total doses administered?
Yeah.
Is there a gap there? That's the part I'm not seeing. See, 2.176967 shots started. 1.8 million finished. Okay, so what we'd have to do here is yeah, I know. They gave it was jacked up from the start. Huh? Ooh, Jesus.
Meet our team of attorneys at Murphy Law Firm before you hire an attorney for your injury case. Visit murphylawfirm.com and your decision will
How long will the interview last? 10 minutes.
get to know us before you call. Main office Baton Rouge. Are you one of the millions of somebody on after the show?
10. No. It's for tomorrow. Trying to get Mary Bird Perkins on to talk about this one oncology thing. Mary Bird Perkins? Nashville. They're going to be here after that. I don't like it because it's giving up local control.
I don't like them because they have one oncologist. Looks like a rather small operation to me.
It is. Tiny, tiny.
Just one van she's driving over.
I don't know about the biggest no-brainer in the history of mankind. That's that level of hyperbole. I mean, I think Florida.
You know why I saw it so much?
Why?
My first trip to Disney World, it was all over TVs.
There you
And
go.
that's the first place I remember. So yeah, that would make sense because I was like, that was everywhere.
Pinellas Park, Florida. I don't know. Convenience?
Yeah, traffic looking pretty good. Of course, we still have some slowdowns here and there, but everything really pretty calm this morning. 10 minutes from the split to LA1 and 12 different airlines, so that drive time really decreased throughout the morning. Let's take you outside and check on I-10 at College. You'll see that westbound side slightly slower, but it helps when the roadways are dry.
What? That was so awkward.
That didn't even happen.
No, it didn't happen. 8:56 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. One segment to go here on Mornings with Brian Haldane. Hey, got to remind you one more time about the folks over at the Baton Rouge Mattress Outlet. How'd you sleep last night? A productive day actually starts the night before. It starts with a good night's sleep. Mitch Kimball and his team over at the Baton Rouge Mattress Outlet want to help you out with that. They've got the Labor Day deals cranking up right now at both locations. 4065 Florida Boulevard is the Mid-City location, or corner of Jefferson and Hoosier 2. You'll find the same great deals at both locations. You'll find the same great financing at both locations as well. No matter what you spend, you can get 12 months interest free. But if you're spending more than $1,500, you can get 24 months interest free. And, oh, by the way, mention you heard about it here on Talk 107.3 FM, free delivery. Labor Day deals are going on now through, appropriately enough, Labor Day over at the Baton Rouge Mattress Outlet. One, just off the top of my head, they got a 10-inch hybrid mattress with the adjustable base, queen size we're talking about here, for just $699. Go see Mitch and his team over at either location of the Baton Rouge Mattress Outlet. Taylor, I'm debating. I don't think I want to watch the football game tonight, man. I don't want to.
Wait,
is
why
it
not?
wrong? Zero interest in the Patriots and Phillies. Not Phillies, Eagles.
Might as well be the Phillies.
Might as well be the Phillies.
Yeah.
I have zero interest in the Patriots and Eagles tonight. I don't know why.
Really? You don't want to watch superstar quarterback Jalen Hurts?
I kind of, well, you know what? Yeah, that might be the only person I might want to watch at all in the game.
I was kidding.
I know you were. But I'm just running through the rosters here, seeing if
Jacoby
there's...
Stevens plays for the Eagles.
Yeah, he does. That might be worth tuning in for.
But again, I mean,
I
you see Jacoby make 2 tackles, and you're like, okay, good job. Change the channel.
Right. I mean, plus it's preseason. Plus it's like, are we setting the table for Thursday Night Football to be a disappointment this year?
The problem is you can't get it a lot. I mean, a lot of it's on NFL Network. You have to have the special package.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I think that was a mistake by the NFL putting it on the network.
I mean, well, you can get the NFL Network through a number of different streaming outlets, but I'm not fired up. Patriots and Eagles in the preseason. Where's my draw here?
Like the greatest thing about the Patriots left 2 years ago.
Right. And we're 2 years removed, and it's still the greatest thing about the Patriots.
Yeah.
Zero interest in this game. Tomorrow night should be fun. Chiefs-Cardinals I'm looking forward to. That should be a hoot. And Bengals versus football. That should be a hoot, too. There's a lot of LSU tomorrow night. Chiefs, Cardinals, Bengals. And then football. It's the Washington football team. They still don't have a name. But, yeah, I'm a lot more fired up for tomorrow night to watch Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase than I am Patriots and Eagles tonight. Oh. Hey, we're all done for today. Tomorrow, Foodie Friday coming your way, presented by the Louisiana Beef Industry Council. Tomorrow, Haggai Davis will be in for a cup of tech gumbo. Got a couple of other things we're working on right now as we're wrapping up the week. Hoping to have some follow-up on some stories we've been following throughout the week in tomorrow's show, but none of it's confirmed, so I don't want to jinx it yet. That's going to do it for us. Fox News Rundown's coming your way next. That'll be followed, of course, by Brian Kilmeade. Don't forget, Chuck P. is in for the Jay Ducote show this afternoon, which means Taylor will be producing as well. Here comes CBS.
Man, I'm excited.
You should be. Oh, all right, YouTubes. I got a blast out of here. Thanks to the jacked up schedule this week. I've got a meeting that's supposed to happen on Wednesdays. It's happening on Thursday this week. So I'll see y'all tomorrow. Later.